Ladies and gentlemen, as we are about to begin, please get ready. Before we start today's event, I would like to share a few important announcements. We kindly ask for your cooperation throughout the entire program. Information for the participants of the 7th Borobudur International Symposium 2025 in conjunction with the 3rd International Conference on Environment, Green Technology, and Digital Society 2025. During the opening session and symposium, participants are expected to turn on their cameras, use the virtual background, and keep their microphone muted unless invited by the moderator during the discussion session. You may download the virtual background, program book, book for abstracts, and speaker materials from the bis.unima.ac.id website. You can also see this information in the ConfiChair submission system. Please ensure that you have a stable internet connection while participating in the symposium. This symposium is limited to 500 participants. If you are unable to join via Zoom, please follow the live stream on the Unima Media YouTube channel. Before we proceed, allow us to express our deepest condolence for our brothers and sisters in Sumatra, Indonesia, who have recently been affected by the tragedy. Our thoughts and prayers are with the families, communities, and everyone impacted. May they be given strength and resilience during this difficult time. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mahatma Asintia Diatmika, a student from the Faculty of Psychology and Humanities. I will be your Master of Ceremonies, guiding you through today's event from start to finish. Before we begin, allow me to acknowledge and warmly welcome our distinguished guest, the Honorable Rector of Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang, the Vice Rectors of Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang, the Honorable Rectors, Leaders, and Presidents of co-host universities, our respected keynote speakers, presenters, and all distinguished participants joining this event. On behalf of the organizer, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you to the 7th Borobudur International Symposium held in conjunction with the 3rd Interconnect 2025. Following the positive trend from the previous period, this year's symposium proudly presents two major thematic tracks: Science and Technology and Humanities and Social Science. The Science and Technology track carries the theme Empowering Sustainable Science and Technology for Environmental Resilience and Green Innovation. Meanwhile, the Humanities and Social Sciences track highlights the theme Transforming Societies for a Greener Future. interdisciplinary insights from humanities and social sciences. It is a leading annual event that brings together experts, professionals, researchers, and policymakers from various fields to discuss and explore the intersection of green technology and digital society. The conference aims to foster collaboration, knowledge sharing, and innovation to address pressing challenges related to sustainability, technological advancement, and the digital transformation of society. Ladies and gentlemen, this program will begin with the opening ceremony, followed by the main session featuring our distinguished keynote speakers. After the keynote presentation, we will proceed with the discussion session, which will then be continued with the technical clinic. We will conclude today's series of sessions with the closing and announcement. To begin today's event, let us start with the recitation of the Holy Quran, which will be delivered by Afifah Nur Azizah. To Afifah Nur Azizah, the time is yours.
Billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. ولا تفسدوا في الأرض بعد إصلاحها ودعوه خوفا وطمعا إن رحمة الله قريب من المحسنين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ظهر الفساد في البر والبحر بما كسبت أيدي الناس بما كسبت أيدي الناس ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون. ليذيقهم بعض الذي عملوا لعلهم يرجعون.
Thank you to Afifah Nur Aziza for the recitation of the holy verses of the Quran. May Allah always grant us guidance and good health. Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind all participants that the virtual background, program book, book of abstracts, and speaker materials can be downloaded from the bis.unima.ac.id website. You can also see this information in the Confiture submission system. Kami informasikan kepada para peserta bahwa virtual background, program book, book of abstracts, dan materi narasumber dapat diunduh melalui website bis.unima.ac.id. Informasi ini juga telah kami sampaikan melalui Confiture. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed with the singing of the national anthem Indonesia Raya, followed by Sang Surya. Ladies and gentlemen, please be prepared. Ladies and gentlemen, the welcome remarks and report of the chairman of 7th Borobudur International Symposium in conjunction with the 3rd Interconnect 2025 will be delivered by Professor Dr. Insinyur Muji Setio STMT. To Professor Dr. Insinyur Muji Setio STMT, the time is yours.
Distinguished Rector, Vice Rector, Dean, Keynote Speaker, and esteemed participant, good morning and welcome to the 7th Borobudur International Symposium in conjunction with the 3rd Interconnect 2025. On behalf of the co-organizing committee, it is a great honor for us to welcome all of you to this prestigious event. We are gathered here to initiate intellectual exchange and interdisciplinary collaboration on the theme of transforming societies for a greener future. We are pleased to share that this symposium is powered by 372 abstract submissions and strong participation from 14 countries, including Indonesia, Uzbekistan, Malaysia, India, Burkina Faso, Slovakia, Taiwan, Thailand, United Kingdom, Ukraine, Netherlands, Azerbaijan, Australia, and the Philippines. This remarkable achievement is supported by 165 institutions and 20 dedicated co-hosts. We are also very pleased to have an amazing lineup of speakers at the symposium. Let me express my deepest gratitude to Professor Hijaz Ahmad from Near East University, Profesor Januar Parlaungan Siregar from University Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah, Profesor Asma Abdul Rahman from University Malaya, Associate Professor James Scott Corwood from the University of Sydney, and the last, Assistant Prof. Yasemin Ulkar from Bahçeşehir University in Turkey. We believe your insight will enrich our discussion and inspire us to explore the challenges and opportunities in advancing green technologies and digital integration. We would like to underline that the symposium has been carefully designed to brighten the field of science, technology, and also the humanities. As we all know, innovation is essential for building resilient and eco-friendly infrastructure. And at the same time, social, cultural, and economic dimension provide vital perspective for assessing their compatibility. Ladies and gentlemen, as our conference continues to grow and welcome more participants each year, we have learned the value of the system that is reliable and easy to use for you. So, in this year, we are pleased to work with ConfiChair, a platform that smoothly supports our behind-the-scenes process, from submission, review, to communication with author and reviewer. Once again, welcome to this symposium. Together, let's make this event a starting point for impactful solution and meaningful collaboration that will be shape sustainable and digitally connected future. Thank you. I love you all.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Insinyur Muji Setio STMT, for your report and warm welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind all participants that the virtual background, program book, book of abstracts, and speaker materials can be downloaded from the bis.unima.ac.id website. We have also shared this information via ConfiChair submission system. Kami informasikan kepada para peserta bahwa virtual background, program book, book of abstracts, dan materi narasumber dapat diunduh melalui website bis.unima.ac.id. Informasi ini juga telah kami sampaikan melalui ConfiChair. Ladies and gentlemen, the next agenda is a welcome speech by Dr. Lili Andriani, SEMSE, Rector of Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang. To Dr. Lili Andriani, SEMSE, the time is yours.
distinguished keynote speakers, honorable co-hosts, leaders, respected academicians, researchers, practitioners, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. It is truly a great honor and privilege for me as the Rector Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang to warmly welcome all distinguished guests and participants to the 7th Borobudur International Symposium and the 3rd International Conference on Environment, Green Technology and Digital Society 2025. First and foremost, allow me to extend our highest appreciation and warm welcome to our esteemed keynote speakers, Professor Hijaz Ahmad from Near East University, Turkey, Professor Januar Palaungan Siregar from University Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah, Malaysia, Professor Asma Abdul Rahman from University Malaya, Malaysia, Associate Professor Jan Scott Curwood from the University of Sydney, Australia, and Assistant Professor Jasmine Ulker from Bahçeşehir University, Turkey. I would also like to extend our deep appreciation to all distinguished co-host institutions who have graciously joined and supported the 7th Borobudur International Symposium 2025. Your collective participation reflects to strong commitment to advancing higher education, research excellence, and global academic collaboration. Our sincere gratitude goes to Universitas Pendidikan Ganesha, Universitas Buana Perjuangan Karawang, Universitas Negeri Padang, Universitas Pasundan, Universitas Singaperbangsa Karawang, Universitas Pancasila, Universitas Ahmad Dahlan, Sekolah Tinggi Teknologi Warga Surakarta, Universitas Muhammadiyah Ponorogo, IAIN Kendari, Politeknik Negeri Banjarmasin, Politeknik Keselamatan Transportasi Jalan, Politeknik Negeri Samarinda, Universitas Muhammadiyah Yogyakarta, Universitas Muhammadiyah Cirebon, Universitas Pekalongan, Universitas Pendidikan Muhammadiyah Sorong, Sekolah Tinggi Ilmu Farmasi Semarang, Universitas Muhammadiyah Pekajangan Pekalongan, and Universitas Islam 45 Bekasi. Ladies and gentlemen, Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang and our co-host institution are deeply committed to strengthening the role of higher education in responding to these challenges. We believe that sustainability is not merely an academic discourse, but a concentrated responsibility that must be implemented through education, research, innovation, and community engagement. Through international forums such as BIS and Interconnect 2025, we continuously encourage our academic community to produce research that is impactful, applicable, and globally connected. Finally, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to the organization committed to BIS 2025 for their dedication, professionalism, and hard work in making this international symposium possible. With Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, I officially declare that the 7th Borobudur International Symposium and 3rd International Conference on Environment, Green Technology, and Digital Society 2025 is now open. May this symposium generate fruitful discussion, lasting collaboration, and meaningful contribution to global sustainable development. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for the welcome speech, Dr. Rili Andriani, SAMSE. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind all participants that the virtual background, program book, book of abstracts, and speaker materials can be downloaded from the bis.unima.ac.id website. We have also shared this information via ConFeature submission system. Kami informasikan kepada para peserta bahwa virtual background, program book, book of abstracts, dan materi narasumber dapat diunduh melalui website bis.unima.ac.id. Informasi ini juga telah kami sampaikan melalui ConFeature. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the main session of the 7th Borobudur International Symposium 2025. In this section, we will listen to a series of keynote presentations delivered by distinguished speakers from various countries. Participants are encouraged to actively engage in the discussion session by raising their virtual hands or using the chat box. The admin will assist by unmuting your microphone when it is your turn. The attendance link for all symposium participants will be shared through the Zoom meeting chat box and the YouTube live stream chat. This link will direct you to the ConFeature platform to complete your attendance form. Please note that the attendance link is only available for today. Once the program concludes, the link will be permanently closed. A quick note for non-presenters. To be eligible to download your participant certificate, please ensure that you have completed your ConFeature registration beforehand and filled out today's attending form. Ladies and gentlemen, the Humanities and Social Science field, or HSS, will be moderated by Ms. Dwi Susanti SIKOM MA. Please welcome Ms. Dwi Susanti SIKOM MA.
Thank you very much, Mahatma, for introducing me. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, our esteemed speakers, distinguished guests, and all participants. Welcome to the 7th Borobudur International Symposium in conjunction with the 3rd Interconnect 2025. My name is Dwi Susanti, and it is my pleasure to serve as your moderator for today's keynote on Humanities and Social Science session. We are truly honored to gather in this virtual space where students, lecturers, and researchers sharing a common interest in understanding how humanities and social sciences can contribute to a greener, more sustainable future. Today's theme, Transforming Society for a Greener Future, Interdisciplinary Insight from Humanities and Social Sciences, remind us that environmental change is not only a matter of technology or policy, but also of culture, education, community values, and human behavior. And that is exactly why today's discussion is so important. Before we begin, just a few reminders for everyone. For the first session, we'll run in 4 parts. We will begin in 3 keynote presentations, each lasting 30 minutes, and then conclude with a Q&A session. Please keep the microphone muted during the presentations. Please stay at the Zoom meeting until the end of the sessions, and you are welcome to keep your camera on if your connection allows. We encourage you to participate by sending your question in the Zoom and YouTube chat at any time. We will address them during the Q&A session after the presentations. Today, we are fortunate to be joined by 3 distinguished scholars who work spans economic, education, sustainability, innovation, and global development. We are deeply grateful that all three have joined us today despite the distance in different time and zone. Ladies and gentlemen, let us begin our keynote session. I would like to first invite our first keynote speaker, Associate Prof. Jane Scott Kerwood from University of Sydney, Australia. Professor Kerwood is a scholar of English Education and Media Studies at the University of Sydney, specializing in literacy, digital culture, and youth participation. With a PhD from University of Wisconsin-Madison, her work connects classroom with digital innovation and creative expression. She is widely recognized for her contribution and served in various international editorial and leadership roles, and she received the 2025 Divergent Award for Excellence in Literacy and Digital Age Research. Hello, good morning Indonesian time, Professor Kerwood.
Thank you very much for inviting me here today. When I was thinking about the intersections of humanities and social sciences, my research on storytelling seemed very relevant to our conversations here today. Before coming to the University of Sydney, I spent many years as a secondary school teacher in the United States. And presently, my work really sits at the juncture of literacy, creativity, and technology. And so today I'm going to be sharing some of my research around creativity, spoken word, what we do. So today I'm going to make 5 points based on my research on storytelling. And this is drawn from over 25 years of research, both in the classroom and online and in communities, to think about what storytelling means, especially in the lives of young people. That's where my research is really situated. Now, the first point I want to argue is that culturally sustaining pedagogy offers a framework for understanding storytelling. Now, there's different ways that we can think about teaching, the teaching that happens in primary and secondary schools, but also within universities. And culturally sustaining pedagogy really values the cultures that our students bring to the classroom and thinks about how we can encourage them to embrace that and celebrate that. It has an explicit aim of nurturing multilingualism and multiculturalism in schools. It requires that they support young people, sustaining the cultural and linguistic competence of their communities, while simultaneously offering access to dominant cultural competence. Now, when I was a school teacher in America, we would often study poetry, and we would look at kind of classic American poets, including Walt Whitman. And there's a line from his poem called I Hear America Singing, where he says, I hear America singing, the varied carols I hear, those of mechanics, each one singing his as it should be, blithe and strong. Blatant human rights violations, right? And so this is where I think it's really something really important for our young people to think about what their country is like and what their role is in it. So after Walt Whitman wrote that poem, years later in the 1920s, Langston Hughes responded, and he said, I'm the darker brother. They send me to eat in the kitchen when company comes, but I laugh and eat well and grow strong. Tomorrow, I'll be at the table when company comes. Nobody'll dare say to me, eat in the kitchen, then. Besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed. I too am America. So as a school teacher, I then turned to my students and I said, write me a poem about your America, right? And these young people wrote about their families, they wrote about sport, they wrote about their religion, they wrote about their friends, they wrote about how they felt like they belonged or they didn't belong, right? As a way to see how they were able to share their stories in this way, and just creating space within the classroom for young people's stories to be honored is an example of how you can embrace the culturally relevant pedagogy. Now in Australia, as I find myself having moved countries, as a lot of us do over our lives and our careers, it's interesting to think what belonging means within this context. Now, over the years, I've had the opportunity to have an incredible partnership with the Bankstown Poetry Slam. The Bankstown Poetry Slam is the largest poetry slam in Australia and actually the largest in the Southern Hemisphere. They reach over 20,000 people through their online channels. They host monthly poetry slams in Sydney. They host the National Youth Poetry Slam as well. The co-founder, Sarah Mansour, is a daughter of immigrants from Lebanon, and she often has talked about how her own belonging situated within her upbringing and her culture. And I want you to I'm going to share a video from This Is Sarah. So Sarah is a poet, she's an activist, she's a lawyer, she's a mother. And in this poem, she's talking about her own Australia. And so I'll share part of it now.
When people ask me where I'm from, I tell them Punch Bowl. More often than not, they smile and reply, "No, where are you from?" I sigh, roll my eyes in an explanatory tone, say, "Punch Bowl? You know, it's near Bankstown, the city where mouths do not ebb the flow of welcome in over 60 different tongues, where over 100 nationalities are housed under one postcode. This is my ode to the only place I know where no one is told to go back because everyone understands. This is my ode to home. My Australia is walking through the streets of Punch Bowl with the smell of freshly roasted Lebanese coffee kissing the Asian bakeries good morning. The eucalyptus towers overhead and the frangipani scent my breath as we sing the unofficial national anthem. I come from a land down under, living from beat to beat, bumping down the streets with Tupac on our tongues, and we're headed for the beach. Water, so unapologetically salty to the eyes, but we take it in our stride, remembering all the lessons at Greenacre Pool and at school when Cronulla hit high tide. My Australia is barbecues, or as my dad still says, barbecue, meat sizzling on the fire, homemade tabbouleh and tomato sauce, pavlova cake and knefe, the perfect cultural dichotomy. And it's not hard to see, no matter our creed, we always rep our team, hashtag Wanderers FC. This country will never be tainted by cafe sieges. We will always ride together from the mountains where the bushfires rage. We stand together down to the shore where the lifesavers age under that great southern sun. My Australia is one where women wear their saris and their colourful hijabs proudly. Men don sweat-stained collars like war badges. You can get the best fur in Sydney, the realest Lebanese and Chinese, and you feel at ease because no one judges your garlic breath or the tabbouleh stuck in your teeth. It is a place where you can get the most authentic spices in shops where foreign signs sit like jeweled crowns atop their doors. It is neighbours passing barbecued meat over the fence and always saying hello. It is all the stoic traditions. It is stoic, a community that's been hardened by media headlines. It is targeted, it is judged, it is 3 a.m. sirens and perceived thugs. But it is also where the call to prayer gently interludes with the ringing of church bells. It is coexistence, artistic resistance, like the Four Elements Youth Hip Hop Festival and the largest poetry slam in the country. It is my dad's voice, 25 years on, accent thick with resilience, warm like an autumn breeze, smelling of petrol and truck smoke and all the forgotten things, all the za'atar and the tahini and the crushed petals that were once dreams, saying to me, we are lucky. It's not perfect, but it's home. It will never be perfect, but it will always be home. My Australia is home when the rest of the world says no.
Let's see. I go back here. Let's keep going here. Let me go back to my slides here. So when I talked to Sarah, I was really interested in understanding how spoken word poetry is her way of engaging in storytelling. It's something that really resonates with young people in Sydney. And she said in school, she said, "Oh, we were taught to write about potions and sirens," kind of citing the Shakespearean works she might have studied in school. And she said she was never encouraged to write about what she knew about scriptures or seven spices. She said, "Nothing so interesting about the truth of the fact that my parents were raised by war and I was raised by them." And she talked about how her child was characterized by violence, not just in Sydney, but also the violence that her family is experiencing in Lebanon. She said it does its best not to forget the people that survive. Memories both our only inheritance and our birthright. And so by bringing spoken word poetry into communities and into schools in this way, it's an opportunity for this kind of culturally relevant pedagogy and storytelling to take hold. The second point I want to make is that storytelling reflects a new understanding of literacy. Now, typically we think about literacy as reading and writing, but literacy is really far more than that, right? It's meaning making. And it's meaning making not just with the printed words, right? It's with images and transitions. It's with the movement, right? It's embodiment. And we can think about how this new understanding of literacy is really reflected within storytelling. And so it really foregrounds issues of race, class, gender, and sexuality, focuses on how literacy operates vis-a-vis difference, oppression, and marginalization. And so this is understanding of literacy really allows us to think about the cultures that we have, that we're bringing to our learning experiences. Think about how we can interrogate them within the texts that we're studying, right? That we can't read texts and analyze them as like neutral entities, right? They were written in certain historical, social, and cultural contexts. We're interpreting them against our own backdrop of our cultures and our experiences. And so this understanding of literacy is much more, I think, robust, but also genuine. And one of the poets that I interviewed as part of my ongoing study, again, it's over a decade-long partnership with the Bankstown Poetry Slam. And poet Andrew Cox said, "My art is about the power of story. Everyone has stories. I want to see that come out in people." One of the initiatives of the Bankstown Poetry Slam is called the Real Talk Workshops, which are 6-week-long workshops in secondary schools across Sydney that run every year. It is an opportunity for spoken word poets like Andrew to go into schools, to work with young people, and help them be able to tell their own stories, think about their lived experiences, and perform in front of an authentic audience. Now, oftentimes in schools, we give young people an audience of one, their teacher, right? They're writing essays, they're completing exams just for the teacher. And some young people are very motivated by that. They want to get a good mark, they want to succeed, but a lot of young people aren't, right? Because we're not giving them an audience to share their stories with. And this is why I see how storytelling through spoken word poetry can be very powerful. The third point I want to make today is that it's critical to select stories that reflect the lives, identities, and cultures of our students. Now, here in Australia, there is a mandate that we have stories and backgrounds from Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples within our curriculum. But sometimes that might be integrated in a way that is either brief or tokenistic, right? And then we might have other films, plays, poems that just don't reflect the lived realities of our students. And I think that that's something that we need to be really mindful in, that our students aren't just studying, the Western canon, for instance, and really think about how storytelling needs to be much more broad. Now, something within Australia, we have a national curriculum for primary and secondary students called the Australian Curriculum. Within that, there are 3 cross-curriculum priority areas, and one of them is Asia and Australia's engagement with Asia. So it's really important then across every year and every level that our students are learning that they cultivate Asia literacy. And this is meant to reflect Australia's extensive engagement with Asia in social, cultural, political, and economic spheres. Now, as you can appreciate, Asia is incredibly diverse, and not just the countries and the languages and the cultures and the religions and the traditions. So it's really important that within our curriculum, if this is one of our curriculum mandates, that we think about what Asia literacy means and it's very intentionally mapped across the years and across the different content areas, so our young people can think about what Asia means. Now, one study that I did a number of years ago, we interviewed teachers to understand what their understanding of Asia literacy was. And we conducted an audit of the different texts that were being used in the secondary English curriculum that would meet this cross-curriculum priority area with a focus on Asia. We found that of the dozen teachers that we interviewed, all of the texts were written by refugees and immigrants to Australia, and not a single one was written by an Asian Australian person, which is really problematic given that 50% of our population was either born overseas or has a parent born overseas. And so how Asia was being positioned within our curriculum was really problematic, and it didn't reflect the lived realities of our students in the classroom. And it wasn't intentional or malicious on part of the teachers. They were just using books, like the very popular one called The Happiest Refugee, and they weren't really thinking about how they could leverage the really rich texts, including plays, novels, and poems written by Asian Australian authors. Now, this is something I'd like to share. This is one of my former students. He graduated from the University of Sydney with a teaching degree, presently still a teacher, and also a poet. This is Troy Wong. I'll show part of this, so I can go into my other slides. But Troy is talking about his own relationship as an Asian Australian man to the culture and the country of Australia.
I'm going to do a spoken word piece that I wrote about my own experience as an Asian Australian man. So it goes like this. Australia, I love myself today, but the battle was hard won. I'm the sum of our history, dissociated from the soil that bred me and second tier in your racial hierarchy. I, mongrel son, tango of two cultures, boy who ran cross country only to fling himself out of his own body. Australia, I love you, but you don't love me. Australia, when the first Chinese came to you in the gold rush of the 1850s, you named them sojourners, transient temporary ghosts upon this strange red earth, divided their worth by the length of their difference, and branded them second-class non-citizens, as if your begrudging approval was a consolation prize to be proud of. Australia, we have only ever been unwelcome guests on your doorstep. Of my race and bent and broke me over easy.
Okay, so we'll just stop there because I do want to make sure that we're able to get through the rest of this. So Troy is talking there about how within Australia, we at one point had like a white Australia policy and then weren't allowing further immigrants, which is something that is part of like his family's history and culture. Now, when we're kind of grappling with this idea of civic literacy, of culturally relevant pedagogy, I'm reminded of the quote from Carrie Facer, who says, "Whilst these are troubled times, there are also times of creativity, generosity, and exploration." And I believe that for our students, the present time offers them an opportunity to explore and to honor their own as well as other people's stories as they deepen their engagement with the world around them. My fourth point then is that as teachers, we must cultivate our students' storytelling, which can impact their empathetic engagement with the world around them. And I believe that storying, the idea of that, from Ebony Thomas and Amy Stornialo, storying involves how stories are shaped and told over time, and it's inherently connected to power. Therefore, we have the concept now of restoring. It's a way to center youth within their stories, to cultivate civic literacy, which empowers them to make positive change in their communities. And restoring is a way to encourage young people to reshape narratives to better reflect the rich diversity of perspectives and experiences. to resist stories that deprive them of agency or position them as victims. And again, what we've seen through the work of Sarah Mansour and Troy Wong, they are using storytelling, particularly storytelling through spoken word poetry, as a way to share their lived experiences, to push back on oppression that they might have experienced, and make sure that their voice is heard in shaping what Australia is moving forward. There are these really compelling questions that a poet offers us as a way to engage with the idea of storying. And she says, who are you and whom do you love? Where did you come from? How did you arrive? How you begin? How you live now? What is the shape of your body? Who was responsible for the suffering of your mother? What do you remember about the earth? What are the consequences of silence? Tell me what you know about dismemberment. Describe a morning you woke without fear. How will you or have you prepared for your death? And what would you say if you could? And when we're thinking about our work across the humanities and social sciences, these kind of questions prompt us to think about how we can leverage the power of storytelling within our research, within our teaching, and within the innovation. And finally, I believe that storytelling is a form of civic engagement. And this is where I come to the idea of civic literacy. And I would argue that we need to prioritize participatory approaches to democracy, agent of resistance, and the collective imagination. Civic literacy isn't just about voting, right, or taking part in more formal political channels. Getting on the stage at a poetry slam is an act of civic literacy. And this redefined vision really foregrounds creativity and criticality by inviting youth to actively challenge systemic inequalities, counter deficit narratives, and imagine more sustainable and just futures. So I believe as researchers and educators across the humanities and social sciences, we have the power to bring storytelling into our classrooms in new and powerful ways. We can also bring it into our research, into our work in communities. And this can encourage breakthroughs in creativity and civic literacy. We can amplify the people's stories and encourage them to build a future that is more equitable and sustainable. Thank you very much. It's an honor to be here today.
Thank you, Professor Kerwood. That's so beautiful presentation. And actually, this topic also resonates deeply with me, particularly in Indonesia. We have so many urban legends and folklores that shared by our parents and our ancestors. And these stories are full of meaningful values and guidance that helps shape children's character as we grow. And of course, our story today we will pass and also to be a legacy for our next generations, and how storytelling can help people to strengthen their value and also their character. That's very beautiful, Professor. Thank you very much for the insight. And Professor, we will ask you to remain in our Zoom because we will have a Q&A session after all presentations. Thank you again, Professor Kerwood. And now we will move to our second presentation. And I will call Professor Asmak Abdurrahman from University of Malaya, Malaysia. Professor Asmak Abdurrahman is a professor of Sharia and Economic at the Academy of Islamic Studies, University Malaya, holding a PhD in Islamic economics. Her expertise spans Islamic insurance, finance, banking, and social finance. She has served in several leadership at University Malaya and currently acts as Deputy Dean of Research and Innovation. Professor Asmak also contributes widely to the Islamic finance industry as a Sharia committee member for several institutions and as editor-in-chief of journal Sharia. Please welcome Professor Asmak. Good morning. Selamat pagi, Professor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Selamat siang. Good morning to all. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Professor.
Okay.
Okay, you have have 30 minutes as well, Professor, to present the material, and the time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. So thank you very much, Madam Moderator. It is my great pleasure to share my thoughts in this Borobudur International Symposium 2025, and I would like to thank to the Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang for inviting me to share my thought on this conference. And I will be sharing on the topic which is relating to my expertise, which is green wakaf, leveraging Islamic social finance for a sustainable and greener future. It is from Malaysian experience, okay, I would say. So just a brief introduction. When we talk about wakaf, so this is a tool which is donation that will be given for the purpose of religious purpose or educational purposes or for the humanity and well-being of the people. Okay, and when we talk about green wakaf, it's specific. The wakaf project that can be used for sustainability and to provide the green environment. Okay, and it is a benefit that can be benefited for all of the community, including what will be provided for the environment to preserve the environment. Okay, and the beneficiaries of this wakaf initiative also will get benefit, and especially it is not limited for Muslim. Okay, it's for the humanity, even though from the Islamic point of view, wakaf is one of the worship act, but it is for the humanity, okay, regardless the beneficiary is Muslim or non-Muslim. Okay, so then next, why green wakaf matters? So when people talking about wakaf in general, okay, the understanding which is wakaf is only for the mosque, for the cemetery, okay, but actually wakaf is for the humanity. Wakaf is for the well-being of the people, okay. And when we talk about green wakaf specifically, which is for sustainability of the community, okay, this is actually encouraged in Islam because it is the purpose of wakaf itself, okay, which is to help others, to preserve the environment, to preserve the earth, because Muslim, okay, their belief, okay, we believe that we are the Khalifah, okay, which is among of our responsibility is that we have to preserve the earth, the environment. Okay, this is the role of the Khalifa, okay, as what we understood from the verse which is from the Quranic verses, okay. Inni ja'ilun fil ardi Khalifa. Okay. So for the wakaf, which is previously surrounded for the wakaf for the cemetery, which is actually can be used for the environment, for the green, okay, which then will benefit in terms of saving the cost, okay, improve efficiency, okay, by adopting green technologies funded by wakaf. I show after this few examples that has been applied in Malaysia, which may be also being applied in another countries. Okay, but my case study will be from Malaysia's case study. Okay. And with this green wakaf, which is also then open the opportunity for the wakaf managers, or we call as the nazir of wakaf, okay, to assess new opportunities for wakaf project through eco-friendly initiative and partnership, which is not limiting the wakaf only for the religious fraternity or the religious community. Because when we talk about the environment, there are many other stakeholders that can participate in terms of making this green wakaf initiative benefited all the community and the society. So how to start this wakaf or the Green Wakaf Initiative. Okay, so it should start with the awareness, the education, which should spread, especially for the Nazir of Wakaf and also for the Wakif and the beneficiaries, because this will be the main pillar, okay, especially the Nazir of Wakaf, when they have a clear understanding that Wakaf should be managed professionally and also should look into the aspect of sustainability and green perspective. Okay, and they cannot limit the wakaf project into the traditional wakaf initiative, which what being applied in the community, okay, for the many years. Okay, but to make this wakaf initiative or green wakaf initiative successful, we need the guidelines, the policy from various stakeholders, okay, to support this initiative. So I will be sharing what is the policy, the guidelines that being implemented in Malaysia to support this. And then for the green wakaf opportunities, like I mentioned just now, okay, it can be used for renewable energy, reforestation, eco-friendly infrastructure, okay, which really help, okay, to sustain, okay, the earth, okay, the environment. And it also need to be measured, need to be monitored on the success of this green wakaf initiative, so that it can attract another wakif, another donors when they look the success of this wakaf project or green wakaf project, which then may attract many donors, and the Nazir of Wakaf can provide more green wakaf initiative. Okay, so next, like I mentioned, next slide please. So like I mentioned just now, the encouragement for the sustainability, okay, really much embedded in the Islamic teaching, which can be referred to many of the Quranic verses and also many of the hadiths. Okay, and this is two sources from the hadith. So the first one, which is the encouragement, okay, to preserve the water, and the second hadith, which is the encouragement on the prohibition of polluting the water. We are not encouraged to pollute the water. We are not encouraged to pollute the source of water, okay, because it then will harm, okay, the environment, especially the water that we really need, the water for our life. Okay, so there are lots of other verses or sources in Islam, okay, which give us the understanding and give us the education that environment is one of the aspect that very much we as the Muslim has to take care of. Next. So when we talk about green wakaf, like I mentioned just now, it should consist and supported by various stakeholders. So in Malaysian context, the management of the wakaf, so wakaf is not zakat, okay, wakaf is donation, which is the act of worship, voluntary, okay, and it is fall under the responsibility or under the authority in Malaysian context under the State Islamic Religious Council. And in Malaysian context, the State Islamic Religious Council is the sole trustee who are managing the wakaf. But the initiative of green wakaf can also be applied with the partnership collaboration with other stakeholders. So in this context, for example, in Malaysia, the encouragement to make wakaf as one of the source of funding and also to provide the facilities to benefit the community is also encouraged by the government, and this is embraced or being collaborated with ministry under the government. Okay, I show after this. And then for Central Bank of Malaysia, which also encourage the initiative of Wakaf, which then support the initiative which being applied by the Islamic financial institution in Malaysia. So in Central Bank of Malaysia, Securities Commission of Malaysia, which are the regulators on Islamic financial system in Malaysia, are supporting the Green Wakaf initiative, and then the Islamic financial institution, which is the bank and other Islamic financial institution, is offering this Wakaf and Green Wakaf initiative. Okay, and even at the Central Bank of Malaysia, we have VBI, value-based intermediation, which is under this initiative. Okay, Central Bank encourage all the project which all the Islamic financial institution will apply to meet this initiative or to meet this objective, which is to offer the well-being of the community. Okay, and also the Securities Commission has a clear guideline on the Islamic capital product. For example, the unit trust, which has the element of wakaf, which is embedded in the Securities Commission's guideline on the unit trust offering. Okay, and then we have the Yayasan Wakaf Malaysia, one of the wakaf institution in Malaysia which is established at the national level, which facilitate the collection of wakaf with this institution, with the ministry, with the Islamic financial institution, then connect with the community and the society. Okay, so next. So these are the role of this institution. So like I mentioned just now, each of these stakeholders, they have a role to play in order to ensure that this Green Wakaf initiative can be applied. Okay, and the wakif or the donors, again, will have the trust, peace of mind if their money that they contribute for the wakaf authorities, they know it being managed professionally. Okay, so this is how it's the importance of having the ecosystem of the Green Wakaf by collaborating with all these stakeholders. So next. So in Malaysian context, to encourage the wakaf donation, it is given the tax incentive. Okay, so meaning if we contribute the cash wakaf, the money for this Green Wakaf initiative or even for other purposes of wakaf, in Malaysian context, we can get tax incentive, tax rebate. Okay, so this is one of the key element that being seen as one of the factor that can encourage the donors, because of course for the wakif, when they give the money, they understand this is their worship. But if they are offered with the tax incentive, they will get both benefit. Okay, their spiritual belief, which is they do the wakaf, and from their financial management, the tax incentive then may attract them to give more wakaf. Okay, so next. This is what are the initiative that has been applied in Malaysia. So the first one, which is the Green Mosque Wakaf, which is the project that is collaboration between Yayasan Wakaf Malaysia and Malaysian Green Technology and Climate Change Corporation, which is the agency under the Ministry of Natural Resource, Environment and Climate Change. So this is the government, which then have this initiative, okay, and they have collected quite some amount of money, okay, which is hundreds of collection, and also have distribute this collection for Green Mosque Initiative. Okay, so this is their pilot project. Okay, whereby the money that they distribute to the mosque, because to attract the people, they start with the mosque, okay, which then they buy the solar system for the mosque roof, and then rainwater harvesting and filtration system, okay, and then green wall system for the vertical garden, solar system for the surau and for the mosque, okay, and this initiative not limited to this. Okay, so next. There are also, next slide, please. So there are also another project that can be used from this fund, okay, which then all of this project, okay, with the purpose of preserving, okay, the environment, which started by the mosque, okay, because when we want to attract the Muslim, okay, of course, mosque is the place that they always go to perform their prayer. So it starts with this place, okay. So next. So what will be the impact of the Green Mosque Wakaf funds? Of course, from the economy aspect, it may reduce the operational cost of the mosque and reduce energy and water consumption. Okay, and from the environmental aspect, it then reduce the greenhouse gas. Okay, and then for the community, it then instill, okay, the green lifestyle culture, because with the implementation of the mosque, the community can see, okay, it then may attract them to apply this green initiative in another places. Okay. So next. So this is the special wakaf for the water services. So this also the collaboration between Yayasan Wakaf Malaysia and the Ministry of Natural Resource, Environment and Climate Change. Okay. So next. So this wakaf, which is to provide the clean water for the people, especially in the area that are very they are facing hardship in getting water. Okay, so this fund has been used, okay, for water source pumping system from the well, okay, and also especially providing the water for the community. Okay, so next. So these are among the project or the water that has been provided in many states in Malaysia, okay, in Kedah, in Kelantan, in Pahang, okay, in Perak, in Selangor, in Johor, in Sabah, and Sarawak. So all of these places, okay, has been helped through this wakaf money, okay, under this wakaf initiative. Okay, next. So this is the My Wakaf project, which is the project that being offered by the Islamic Bank in Malaysia. So Islamic Bank in Malaysia, under the Association of Islamic Bank, they have My Wakaf initiative, and one of their My Wakaf initiative is to provide solar dome dryer for the fishermen and farmers community. Okay. So next. So this is the solar dome. Okay. Which is traditionally the fishermen, when they want to provide the salted fish, okay, the traditional way, what they did, okay, they dry the fish under the sun. Okay. But they may have difficulties, especially if it is raining, and how to ensure that their fish is clean and hygiene. Okay. So with this solar dome dryer, which is being made or being provided by the Islamic Bank to the fishermen community, it helped them because now they can use this solar dome, okay, to dry the fish 24 hours, okay, because they use the solar energy, and it shows that they have increased their income, okay, and of course it reduce the contamination, okay, and the quality of the fish is very good. Okay, I taste the fish, okay, and it really then clean, okay, hygiene, okay, and it can help the fishermen, okay, especially for example if they catch fish, okay, they do not have the transportation, for example, to sell in the market. They may use the fish to be dried, which then their income is increasing. Okay, so this initiative, which is the collaboration between Islamic Bank and also the State Islamic Religious Council and the fishermen community, okay, and they also have not only for the farmers, okay, for the farmers, for example, they have like dry the chili, okay, any agricultural product which previously been dried traditionally, they can use this solar dome, okay, and of course this the price of the solar dome is quite expensive. They are not be able to buy, maybe the fishermen and the farmers. So with the initiative which is offered by the Islamic Bank, then it is then can help them. Okay. So this is one of the green wakaf project that being applied in Malaysia, and it's still in the process of collecting, and when they have money, they set up this dry dome and then they keep on collecting. So the next slide. So this is what I mentioned just now. Okay, and then the next slide. Okay. Okay, so I think we go to the next slide. Okay. So this is the case study of the Green Wakaf project, which is embedded in Wakaf, but this Wakaf come from the unit trust. Okay, so people buy unit trust for their investment. Okay, so they will get profit, okay, from the dividend that will be distributed by the fund manager. Okay, so with this integration between the investment, sorry, the next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yes, okay, thank you. So this is the initiative which is embedded in the unit trust investment. So people invest, okay, in the unit trust. And who invests in this kind of unit trust? This is targeted for the investor who want the return from their investment partly to be donated as the wakaf. Okay, and this is offered by few investment bank in Malaysia, and this is one of the example which is offered by Kenanga Kenanga Investment. So there are another investment company which also offered similar unit trust product. Okay, so this is the collaboration between Kenanga Investment Bank with Yayasan Wakaf Malaysia, whereby if the profit, the return from the investment, okay, which 50% will be divided to the unit holders and 50% will be made as wakaf, okay, and they offer to the Yayasan Wakaf Malaysia as one of the wakaf institution, and this money, the wakaf part, will be distributed for education, for the healthcare, for the economic empowerment, and also for the environment. Okay, and if we look at their annual report for 2024, they have distributed the profit, okay, and part of that profit has been allocated for the wakaf project. Okay, so this is one of the initiative. Okay, because if we want to wait for these investors, okay, because they understand, okay, the encouragement to do wakaf based on their belief, okay. So by having these wakaf features embedded in their investment, it gives them peace of mind, okay, because the distribution of wakaf being done by the fund manager. Okay, so next, what are the allocation for the environment? So for the environment, it will be used for renewable energy project, solid waste management, wastewater management, reforestation, clean water, affordable and clean energy, which will be applied by Yayasan Wakaf Malaysia, and Yayasan Wakaf Malaysia collaborate with another stakeholders, like we discussed just now. They collaborate with initiative of Wakaf mosque, okay, and also with the service water. So next, so this is example of the role of the regulator, like I mentioned just now, the Securities Commission, when they embedded in the guideline on the features of unit trust with wakaf fund. Okay, so this is the requirement. Okay, so with this, then all the fund manager, they have a clear guideline. If they want to offer the unit trust with wakaf features, what should be complied, so that when they offer to the market, it fulfill the guideline and the product can be offered to the potential investor and they may buy this unit trust. Okay, so in conclusion, next, implementation of green wakaf will success if supported by various stakeholders. The Nazir of Wakaf should collaborate with another partners and do not limit their role with the traditional way of managing wakaf, because collaboration may open many opportunities in terms of the management of wakaf, especially when we are talking about green and sustainable environment. So tax incentive is one of the elements that may success or may attract the donor to commit their donation for this wakaf initiative. So with that, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum and have a nice day.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Asmak, for your inspiring presentations and the reminder that the green wakaf is emerging as a key driver in advancing sustainable initiative. And however, its impact depends on the collective efforts of all stakeholders, including WACF institution, policymakers, government body, and the wider community. And Professor, please stay with us till the end of the session because we will have the Q&A session after all presentations. And a quick reminder for all the participants that if you want to ask a question, please feel free to type them in the chat box, or later I will call you if you want to deliver your question directly, and please type the raising hand emoji. And now we proceed to our third session, and I will call Professor Yasmin Ulker from Bahçeşehir University, CAFL, Istanbul. Professor Yasmin Ulker is an assistant professor of logistic management at Bahçeşehir University and the deputy director of SE Istanbul. She held a PhD in business management from Istanbul University and specialized in sustainable supply chains and organizational behavior. She has contributed to several EU projects, participated in multiple Erasmus programs, and published widely in international journals and conferences. Most recently, she completed a TÜBİTAK postdoctoral research fellowship at the University of Glasgow Adams Business School, focusing on sustainability supply chain metric. Good morning, Dr. Ulker. We warmly to invite you to share your presentation. How are you, Professor?
Good morning, everyone. Salaam alaikum. I'm great. I'm very great to be here.
Yeah.
And I'm really blissful, let's say, that you invited me to here to this very honorable conference and to be with all these audience. And hopefully I will be presenting as a keynote. Hopefully I will meet the expectation because quite diverse presentation. I try to make it up, but let's see how will it go. Thank you very much. Hope you are also doing great. It's 6 o'clock in Istanbul, but I'm very motivated.
It's morning, right?
I'm very motivated to be here. That's a good part.
Yeah. Okay, Professor, you have 30 minutes as well to present your material, and the time is yours.
Thank you very much. I'll try my screen now. Okay, I think that's fine. Okay, so I think you're able to see my screen right now.
Yes.
Okay. If you will have any question, I hope during the presentation not, because I'm not really able to see the messages and everything, but I will be easily manage my own screen at the end. Okay, hello all colleagues, the students, the future academics, I believe, in the session. And as a keynote, I thought, since the topic itself, it's about transformation to green future. So I try to see this topic from a social scientific angle, even though I try to diversify my presentation by combining with different topics, like starting from supply chain itself through the education as well. I will tell you the reason why I've chosen this topic actually in a minute, but let me show you first my agenda so you will be able to understand what I'm going to talking about today. So here, I will very briefly tell my research focus at the beginning. Then, since my research is about sustainable supply chain, so I will not going to go deep into details, but I will just try to tell you how I integrate supply chain with the organization behavior era. So I try to merge and I try to interconnect multidisciplinary research. And then I will be sharing with you, the third one is the leap fast. This is it. Recently, I have completed Train the Trainees program, which is about exactly what our key conference topic is about transformation. So the topic was transformation of education system. So transforming the education to more sustainable way, integrating the curriculum, integrating pedagogical education, and so on. So I will just briefly and very shortly try to integrate this into my presentation as well. And then as the best practice action, the CIFAL Istanbul, where I currently work and I have a leadership position. So I'll be sharing with you our own practices, just to give you some light that what kind of initiatives we can make it, and what kind of initiative we can actually extend it to the society, not only staying at the university. And lastly, I will have a self-assessment, which is about our own sustainability journey. Maybe have done before, but it will be nice to have this at least a bit of interaction. Okay, here on the down part is you're able to see 4 keywords as you can see. Whatever I'm going to deliver in any of my speech, I try to add my keywords, so which will lead us to today's topic and which I want you to keep in your minds, the today presentation contents. So supply chain, as I just simply will mention, as I said, behavior change, competencies, and transformation. So I will try to lead you through the transformation. To enable this transformation, what will be the enabler for this transition path? So let me start. So this is me, and on the right side you see my university with the Bosphorus view just next to the seaside in Istanbul, where I currently work in Bahçeşehir University. And so this is my education background. She kindly shared my background already, so I'm not going to repeat it again. So I will be sharing my CIFAL UNITAR experience at the end of this presentation as my professional role. And plus, my research focus is, as I said, sustainable supply chain, industrial symbiosis, supply network collaboration. As you see, all these terminologies seems more technical words in social sciences. However, I can assure you, I am currently, what I'm trying to do, actually, I try to approach it in a more softer version, which is adding to the behavior perspective. So today I will try to embed it with the behavioral perspective into it. So before jumping on to the research, the research itself, as I'm going to use as a sample, I just want to try to remind you why social science is that much important in achieving sustainability transition. I'm not saying, by the way, achieving sustainability. We are not going to use being sustainable, being green. We are going to actually see how these words are becoming a buzzy word, but we actually need real transformation, not only transforming in the more sustainable world, but transforming in more restorative, more redesigning the world. So for those, I just want to get your attention, and I want you to show you. This is one of the recent report about Sustainable Development Solution Network, and which shows us the current situation of these 17 goals that you already know all those things. I'm not going to repeat it, but what I want you to do is just take a look and look at those the squares. None of them are green, which means none of them are achieved. Most of them are just orange color, which tells us there are still significant challenges. Plus, red squares are a major challenges. So the problem here in the societies in achieving sustainability, the all development goals, is not actually okay. Of course, they are all will stay as a barrier. I cannot deny, like the lack of let's say, technology, lack of infrastructure, lack of financial resources, lack of labor, lack of, I don't know, whatever it is, whatever the tangible things we need, they are still, yes, there are still lack of, so we cannot really achieve it. But the main problem behind is not those tangible things. The problem here is leadership, governance, culture. How do we manage? How the mindset, how the culture behind of all these assumptions. The main problem is the real social science. The main problem is we don't change our behavior to enable this transformation. Even though you have, like, even the developed countries, you are the developing countries, Turkey is a developing countries. I don't really see lack of a lot of things, okay? I do see lack of a lot of things, but I do more problem on the sharing those current resources. I do see a problem about the allocation. I do see problem all about awareness. I do see problems about sustainable literacy. We don't really understand. We don't really know the meaning behind of it. Mindset. That's why my focus will be more about mindset today. And as you said, I'm not going to repeat them. I just want to show you the current situation about, so where we are currently. We only achieved those goals, if I'm not wrong, only like 18% is lastly. So we have a lot, and some of the items actually we are going down. We're not rising, we're not improving, but we are even make it worse, especially inequalities. So this is another World Economic Global Risk Protection, as you see on 2025. It tells us in 2 years, those will be the main risk, global risk issue. Look at the first one, misinformation and disinformation. As an academic, as we are all, I believe, most of us, are touching the education sciences, like at least we are all trying to improve the quality education, SDG 4. So it is harmful, at least as an academic. It is harmful to see the main issue will be more about that's why I said sustainability literacy is one of them that we are misunderstanding, we are misleading. So in the 2 years, and when we jump on the 10 years global risk factor, so you see that, of course, the environmental issues, extreme weather events, biodiversity, critical change, natural resources. So all these are green. Yes, they're all environmental. But what about the background? Why do we have those? Why do we have those problems? Because we are not really conscious. Our subconscious mind still leading us. We don't really change our behavior. We all know that environmental crisis is always here. We all accept it. But the point behind the assumption is flaved. So, now, I told you one of the keywords that I used at the beginning was the supply chain. I'll just tell you, so don't worry about the technical part. I'm not going to go into technique, but I just want to tell you how, even though my topic itself actually more touching the engineer, especially industrial engineering parts. I do work with industrial engineers very closely, actually. But what I'm trying to say here, whatever the topic we are trying to work, distinguish, understand, dive into, okay? But we can, in any way, in any angle, we can touch through the behavior chain. We can touch through the being mindful, okay? So supply chain context, that was my topic, okay? Before going to University of Glasgow last year, I got a research grant. I conduct my research there. And the research was sustainable supply chain metric. Can you see all these words? They sound all very technical, right? However, my assumption was also the same. I was saying that at the beginning, the problem is lack of the measurement. I want to create some measurement for sustainability. I believe performance measurement is one of the key challenges, one of the wicked problem. I don't know if you have heard this word before, wicked problem. So wicked problem are the one as the worst one, are the one which doesn't really have a real solution, okay? But I realize lack of measurement are not the wicked one. The underlying, the assumption are the wicked problems. So I've realized after this research also, there are tremendous metrics to measure our sustainability journey, sustainable performance in all supply chain. I don't know if you, maybe just simply terminology why I use supply chain, because supply chain is a very complex terminology, okay? So we have here, like here, I'll go back my slides, but first I want to show you here in order to make you sure you understand me. So, and the first, it is a vertical integration. It is a very typical, simple supply chain we call. We have like a many suppliers. We have a manufacturer or focal company. We have distributor, retailer, wholesaler. At the end, we have the end consumer. So we are talking about this chain, all connected chain to each other. And we call it as a supply chain, from raw material to the end user. So my research is to understand the sustainability journey, the transformation from beginning to the end. That's why it is very complex, because even the company itself, manufacturer, it's only we're talking about the focal company, one company. Even here, it's super complex to measure the performance, but the supply chain try to measure, as I said, from raw materials to the end, so which is becoming even more complex. So my research was about sustainable supply chain performance metric was based on that. Okay, so what I've done basically, I've dived into the environmental science, I've dived into the social science. I try to see what are the key aspects that I need for the measurement. What will be my KPI for measuring? And at the end of that research, I've done many case studies. I've met with many CEOs in this, especially service industries. And I asked them behavioral change. Even though I asked them, how do you measure your sustainability performances through your supply chain? And one of my key questions was at the end of it, is there any real behavior change that you observe after you start measuring your performances in your company or in your supply chain? Yeah, they state many. Yeah, we do have real behavioral change. I do agree. Performance management is actually gives you a space. So imagine yourself. If you see, okay, now let me go back to research again. Okay. I do agree with that. Performance management gives us a chance to motivate, gives us some incentives, some rewards. So it motivates us through our goals that I will always support this ideology, okay? But as I said, that's not going to be enough for behavior change. We need something more in order to change the real behavior, right? So that was my research. And the key criticism behind, I again want to remind you, these criticisms are not only in supply chain or metric, these criticism that we are observing in sustainability transformation or sustainable development goals, we're seeing it. So just some of them I will mention, the nature of neoclassical approach, nature of the economic system currently we are living in. Maybe we need to change the assumption. Maybe our assumption will not make it as the growth. Our assumption will be still having a profit in an optimal way, but maybe we may still thinking about the growth. Maybe we can grow in some point, but we may not have to grow. There's a recent article in Journal of Supply Chain Management written about post-growth approach. Maybe we can start thinking about post-growth approach. And another one, like as I said, unstandardized parameters, complexity of measurement model, I do agree on those. There are many measurement models and they're super complex. I do agree all these tangible lack or greenwashing or lack of accountability, complexity, implementation. I do agree with all these critics, and which is my base of my research. But now I will jump into the more like awareness part. So the core question, this research challenge whether current metrics effectively drive necessary behavioral shift towards sustainability. Now I'm going to jump into the behavioral change part. Here, I add under supply chain, perception, attitude, behavior. I don't know if you are familiar with the theory of plan behavior, theory of plan action, TPA, TPB. In social psychology, we are using it. This is the idea inspired by these two theories. So before behavior, we have attitude. Before attitude, we have perception. We already have perception towards something, okay? And this perception led us to have an attitude. Those attitudes might be emotional. Those attitudes might be cognitive. So after having this cognitive and emotional attitudes, we do have action, which is going to be behavior. So what I want you to think about, we will touch on the perception. We will touch on the attitude before jumping on the behavior, if you want to change our behavior. Okay, now, those are the keywords that we have used, right? I talk about transformation. In order to have transformation, we need behavioral change, right? We know it. We are all agree with that. For behavior change, now I'm going to jump into education. Competencies. What are those competencies we need? Each and every one of us. And the first assumption to gain the competencies will be what? Awareness. So, Leap Fast program, I've just shortly mentioned. I've completed this education training, let's say. As an academic, I don't know how many, if you're not in education science, we don't really gain and learn pedagogical formation, right? I'm always feeling that's the lack in my life. Through that education, 10-week intensive training, which is provided us through UNITAR and UNESCO, it teaches us during 10 weeks. And we had like 2 weeks ago, we were in Saudi Arabia to have this education, complete that education training, let's say, about what? Transformation in sustainability education. How to embed sustainability in our curriculum, each and every one of us, not only education science, but also social science, engineering science, any scientific area. How are we going to embed sustainability mindset into our curricula? And for those, they define sustainability competencies. And UNESCO defined competencies as a combination of knowledge, skills, and attitudes. Look at those keywords again. Knowledge, skills, and attitudes. I'm asking you, whatever we are learning, we try to provide information in our lectures. And we want those information in the long run to turn into a knowledge. But do we really teach our students and do we really help them to gain those competencies, those skills, those attitudes? Do we really are the accelerator or enabler to help them to gain those competencies? Like which competencies I'm talking about? Cognitive, self-reflection, creative thinking, critical thinking, system thinking, feature thinking. How much are we really embed those in our lectures, in our curriculum? Or socio-emotional learning domain, emotional awareness, communication competencies, intercultural competencies, collaboration competencies, civic participation. How do we align them? And behavioral domain, Now we have the action capacity, strategic competencies, consequential thinking, integrative problem solving. Do we really help them to gain the problem solving competencies, which is already combined with critical thinking, creative thinking, system thinking? Do we really help them to gain those? Innovation, social entrepreneurship. Do we really having them? So this education, that training that they have given to us, how can we add these competencies in our curricula? So first, ourselves as a lecturer, do we really have them, for example? Do I really have those thinking capacities in me? So first, I need to gain, and then I need to deliver, postform that competencies to my student. Through my student, those students will deliver to their family, to their society, to any working environment, any culture that you are going to work in. So they will be spreading all these competencies through the society. Then we will be able to talking about transformation. And again, that might be interrelated with the context, but it is actually quite connected to it. Because I want to emphasize here the meaningfulness, mental coherence, meaning. Do we really teach our student the meaning? Why are you learning this? What is the meaning for you to learn this? Are you really attaching your cognitive skills and abilities with your emotional abilities, with your emotional awareness? Are we really touching these two together? Are we really aligning? Or is it just staying in cognitive? The research shows if it just stays in cognitive, if it just stays here, if it doesn't touch into our emotion, it's becoming a temporary. It doesn't really create the changes at the end of it. So the idea here is each and every one of us, environment, we do realize the environment where we are living. We do realize the technology. We have to know what kind of technology we need. We have to know the culture. What kind of culture are we living in? And while I'm saying the culture, by the way, I'm talking about family culture, group culture, work culture, national culture, infrastructure, nature, resources. Do we have those resources, capabilities? Of course, we need to look at our feasibility. We look at our capabilities. And then our roles in the society. Our role as a student, our role as academic, our role as a CEO, our role as a government official. And by all knowing all these things, do we have a meaning? What is the purpose of doing this? Do I have a purpose at the end of it? Does it align with my purpose? And that will be touched at the end with the well-being and happiness, which is SDG 3, well-being and health, right? Automatically we'll be touching those. I was telling at the beginning, sustainability, the word of green, they become a buzzy word, right? They become a trendy, popular words. But we don't want to. We know no more sustainability, no more green. What I'm trying to say, we want new words, restorative, regenerative, because those are the ones which need transformation. Sustainability means adding no additional harm. We want to go further. We want to add meaning to sustainability. Sustainability plus meaningful. We want to create a regenerative culture, regenerative society, living system design, paying attention to quality, effectiveness, doing the right thing, thinking in patterns and principle. Not only using renewable energy, not only using not a plastic bag, not only using all these procedures. We want to add inside our mindset to transform and distribute. Okay, I've captured supply chain, I've captured behavior change, I've captured competencies, I've captured transformation. So I actually captured all my 4 keywords. Now, lastly, I will keep this part short. If you remember on my agenda, this is a sort of an action one because we talk about competencies, right? Now I will show you a case study, real case study that I'm currently working in, and I have a deputy director role, leadership role in it. And we are CIFAL Istanbul. We are Center for Training Authorities and Leaders seek to strengthen sustainable development capacities for individual, institution, national and international level. So we do work with NGOs, we do work with public bodies, private bodies, leaders, sector leaders, academic, local authorities. We try to work basically with everybody in the society. And we are affiliated under UNITAR, United Training Institute, National Institute for Training and Research. So we would like to empower our society. Okay, and CIFAL Istanbul, as an institution, we try to empower it through what? Through training events and through public awareness events, through research and knowledge, through stakeholder engagement event. Whatever we're trying to achieve currently, we try to achieve SDG 17 by bringing the other parties outside of the university, integrate with our academic, being a bridge role, and try to create the projects for students. And whatever we are doing as a learning and training event, we are mostly having it in-house, and we are doing in also nonprofits. So these are just CIFAL Istanbul 2025 events. These are only this year event that we have done in our research center. And these are just one of them. I will just give you some example. And I also try to tell you, I just give you this example, not to pamper, not to exaggerate ourselves, okay? I just try to give you some idea, maybe you already have those sort of ideas. But you may just need more inspiration, hopefully, okay? So, for example, one of them is about equal opportunity for technology project. What we have done, we created a platform for technology. For include technology, meaning including AI, including more engineering backgrounds, discipline, research, and education, let's say. So we combine this education program. We deliver this to the women to empower the women students, the age changing between 15 to 30, if I'm not wrong. The reason why we realize in technology industry, the mostly man-dominated era, so we want to empower women, providing this training opportunity. And until now, we have reached with 30,000 participants in Turkey. And not only in our university, as I said, this is distributed to the whole era in Turkey. And we also we achieved this through one of the banks, which is Yapı Kredi in Turkey. So why I'm giving you this example? Because we need a team, we need a collaboration, negotiator to enable this change. Because we can, as a university, we cannot achieve it by ourselves. We don't really have, that's what I'm saying. We don't have a capacity, let's say financial capacity maybe, to do it alone. But we do have any other partners who will enable us, who will help us to achieve it together. And another one, we have a career development program, which is about youth academic and career readiness through expert-led training, about sustainability, entrepreneurship, digital transformation, future skills, those competencies that I was talking about. So in order to provide them, enable them to gain those competencies, only through formal education, they may not be able to have those, but at least we can supplement them. We can supplement some competencies into their education program. And then we have done this with again with multiple partners to achieve that goals. Another one, we try to provide another program. This is for small and medium-sized enterprises, companies. We try to guide them to adopting climate responses, future resilience practices. Again, it as an expert-led session through sustainability, green transformation, business implication. So all these sample tells us they were all with different angle, with different training, education background. But what we are trying to do, we don't do it by ourselves, but we are the part of it, of course. Some of the education training that I might giving, if it's related to supply chain. But we try to be a bridge. We try to connect our academics. We say, we are trying to give this value. We try to add the society. We try to work with those. So are you going to be with us? So we try to make them come down together and try to initiate this initiatives. There are many other programs that we are having, so I'm not going to go deep into those. I just want to provide you the main idea behind of it. So those, some of them you see on the pictures, they are my colleagues, our expert in our center, research center. So as I said, we are quite diverse. We try to help the earthquake zone, for example. We try to do it in a book donation, library visit, seeds bowl workshop. So this is very diverse. So this is the last thing, numbers of events that you can see here. So SIFA Istanbul has reached 64,000 beneficiaries in this year, 25, and we had done 120 events, including 31 of training events, 19 was the courses, university courses, 42 was the public awareness, 33 was stakeholder engagement, 14 was research and knowledge services. So this is briefly what we are doing. And those are the SDG related course open up in our university as well. These are just some of them. I'm pretty sure you're also having it. The all SDGs, sustainability is embedded since in first human being. We already know those, but we just transform, we just change the name of it. We just make it a fancy word, okay? But we need to understand the idea behind of it. We need to again work on, go back to our subconscious mind, try to make it conscious. We need to be more mindful to understand the real awareness and real impact. And those were our partners of this year, as I said, from NGOs to public, from public to the private institution. You can find many different industries here as well. Okay, so I don't know if we have time, but that will be my, I'm closing now. And those are for you. If you want to learn your self-assessment about how sustainable are you or how eco-friendly are you. These two surveys are quite connected, I mean, similar, let's say, to each other. You may just click on any of them. And you may, let's give the audience just like a 5 seconds so they can read the QR code. And I will be ending up my presentation.
Thank you very much, Dr. Uker, for your meaningful presentation. And the self-assessment after the event, I will assess myself as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
we also aware that everyone must be aware and make wise choice consumption, right? At the same time, the system and regulation must be strengthened to support this effort and provide alternative resource for consumer.
Yes.
And,
Thank you for adding this. Exactly.
yeah. Yes, Professor. And now all participants, once again, thank you for all the speakers as well for those insightful presentation. And now we will move to Q&A session. Please feel free to type your question in the chat box and I will read it for you. Or if you want to ask directly to our speakers, please click the raise hand emoji and we will choose and give the opportunity for you. Okay, for the first part, is there any question? that the participant want to deliver directly? Here is some questions, Professor, in the chat box. For the first one, I will read for Professor Asmat. Hello, Professor. Are you still in this room?
Yes, yes, I'm here. I'm still here.
Okay, I will read the question for you, Professor Asmat. Here's the question from Husna. Professor Asmat, your presentation on using unit trust for green wakaf in Malaysia is incredibly timely. We all recognize that green wakaf is a crucial step for Islamic social finance globally, as it connects the spiritual legacy of wakaf with the urgent need for environmental sustainability. Given your expertise and this pioneer Malaysian model, we would love to hear your thoughts about its potential global scalability, specialty, what are the most significant benefits, the biggest opportunities we should seize, the practical costs, both money and effort, and the inherent risks that the museum world needs to consider when implementing and scaling up the green wakaf to truly make the wakaf a success story worldwide.
Okay, so thank you for the question. So basically, yes, it is huge potential globally, I would say. And it can begin or it can be started with the people. We are the people, especially for the academia. Okay. So to have this like unit trust, it is institution or the industry which is regulated. Okay, so to offer this in each country, we have to understand what are the legal framework that we have in our own country. So if, for example, there's no such implementation of Islamic finance yet in your country, so this is the time that you should start to talk with your leaders, with the practitioners, so that it then can convince them, okay, to see the benefit of wakaf, especially green wakaf using unit trust. Okay, because when we talk about wakaf, even it is the worship, okay? We want to worship by giving wakaf. It is religious matters. But since this is dealing with huge of money, okay? So we have to take into account what are the legal framework that we have. So we have to work within the legal framework, the governance structure that we have in our country. Okay, because if we want to start without take into consideration any law or any legal provision that we have in our country, we cannot speed it up. Okay, the success of implementing green wakaf. Okay, because people may doubt on our implementation. It is not integrated with other facilities or other benefit, for example, tax. Okay, so I would say for the start, okay, if there's no such implementation in your country, you should start like present in the conference, give a talk, write an article in the newspapers, journal, wherever, which then may attract the people. Because I think this is also what been done in Malaysia. Okay, people start to have this emphasized when people start to talk. Okay, the academia, the practitioners, the government, the regulators. Okay, then we come to this potential, or then we come to think of how to implement this. Okay, so I think, of course, okay, in terms of the cost, if it been applied by the financial institution, they have the professional in terms of the managing the unit trust. Of course, they charge the fee in terms of managing the money, because the unit trust will be invested in the investment which can give high return. It should be invested in the Sharia compliant investment, in the shares, Islamic bond, or money market, Islamic money market. So then there will be the profit. Okay. So I think, yeah, it's very huge potential, but we have to start to talk with all these stakeholders, okay, to win and to show to them, okay, the potential by showing the successful case which has been implemented maybe from Malaysia, Indonesia, and so other countries. Okay, so I think that's my response to this question.
Well, thank you, Professor. And I can conclude that I think we have to start small at any effort we can. Yes, Professor. So
Yes.
later, collaboration will follow our steps, and it leads us to a bigger and also success story. Thank you once more for Professor Asmat, and I will read the question for Professor Ulker. Hello, Professor.
Hello again.
Yeah, here is the question from Hasna Naila. Assalamualaikum, my name is Hasna, and I have a question for Professor Ulker. Your presentation highlights the importance of moving from sustainability metrics toward influencing actual behavior change. In your view, what are the most effective social science strategies for encouraging individuals and organizations to adopt more sustainability practice beyond simply measuring their performance?
Alaikum salam, Hasna. Thanks for the question. So as I said also, simply before measuring it, first of all, you need to have what exactly you're measuring. Because the misunderstanding about measurement is also they are just typically following the frameworks that anybody uses. So first you need to customize those measurements, okay? But while customization for your own company I'm talking about, you need to understand whether it is aligning, we call strategic fit, whether it is aligning with your company's strategy, company's culture, company's procedures, regulation. Are you really prepare your organization with the regulation, with the resources, with the behavior? Behavior mean here, I'm talking about actually the norms, right? When I'm saying the culture actually encompass all of the item as I just mentioned it. So you need to have proper leadership. You need to have the proper incentive, and you need to make your co-worker, your employees to have this, we call it citizenship, to have this, their own concern, okay? Through what? Could be through incentives, through again, effective leadership style, right? Through showing them best practices, through showing them, hey, colleagues, we are going to implement this. We are going to transform these procedures because we are expecting this. Through telling them both meaningful, again, cognitively, and both emotionally, yes, it's going to have a critical impact. And it will be the purpose. So it is a huge process to assess it. I'm not sure if I'm able to answer your question, Hasna.
Yes, thank you once more for the clearly explanation, Professor. And actually, still there are several questions in the chat box, but unfortunately, our time is limited because we still have one session. And I would like to thanks again for Professor Asmat and also Professor Yasmin Ulker for an inspiring and also for the extraordinary presentation that can teach us in the collaboration between nation, between society, between communities can help the sustainability in the future. And ladies and gentlemen, as we come to end of this keynote session, let me express our sincere appreciation once more to Associate Professor James Scott Kerwood, Professor Asmak Abdurrahman, and also Assistant Professor Yasmin Ulker. Your perspective reminds us that the journey toward a greener future is deeply interconnected between economic and ethics, education and innovation, governance and community resilience. And to all participants, students, lecturers, and researchers, thank you very much for your active engagement and your commitment to these issues. I would also like to inform everyone that the Science and Technology session will begin immediately after this. Please remain in the meeting as we will continue shortly. Thank you and enjoy the rest of the program. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to Ms. Dwi Susanti SECOM MA for leading this insightful session. We truly appreciate your guidance. We will now continue with the next part of our agenda, the Science and Technology session. This session will be moderated by Mr. Hari Abdul Hakim SHLLM. Please welcome Mr. Hari Abdul Hakim MH.
Thank you very much, Mahatma. Good morning, everyone. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable keynote speakers, distinguished guests, participants, ladies and gentlemen, before we already passed the opening ceremony and also the discussion for the humanities and social science, and now we will continue our discussion with the science and technology sessions. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome each and every one of you to the 7th Borobudur International Symposium held in conjunction with the 3rd Interconnect 2025, where the global intellectuals, researchers, and also practitioners converge to explore the themes on empowering sustainable science and technology for environmental resilience and green innovations. Ladies and gentlemen, as we gather in this inspiring forum, I'm honored to serve as a moderator for the science and technology sessions, guiding our academic exchange and facilitating meaningful discussion among our distinguished speakers. It is also my privilege to lead this session as we dive into scientific breakthrough, technological innovations, and also collaborative resolution. Ladies and gentlemen, in the symposium actually aims to explore the key scientific and technological advancements that support environmental recovery, promote renewable energy, enhance sustainable agriculture, strengthen climate adaptation strategies, and also foster circular economy practices. Our distinguished speakers bring a wealth of knowledge and expertise, and I'm confident that their insight will spark meaningful dialogue that continues long after this session concludes. Ladies and gentlemen, before we begin, allow me please to read several technical rules for this session. First, in this session, we will have 2 keynote speakers, and each speaker will be given 30 minutes to deliver their presentations. And for all participants, you are welcome to join in the Q&A sessions. The participants who are joining us in the Zoom meeting, you may directly deliver the question to the keynote speaker. We will choose some of the participant to deliver the question, or you may also type the question to the chat box, and also For those participants who joining us via YouTube, you may also submit the question through the comment section. And for those the selected question, I will read for the keynote speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, and now allow me please to introduce our distinguished keynote speaker for today's conference. First keynote speaker for this session, it is Professor Januar Parlaungan Siregar. Professor Januar is a distinguished academic and researcher in the field of material science and engineering, with a focus on natural fibers, polymer composite, and biocomposites. He is currently serving as a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Mechanical and Automotive Engineering Technology, University Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah, Malaysia. Professor Januar completed his PhD and Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering at University Putra, Malaysia, and his Bachelor Engineering at Universitas Trisakti, Indonesia. With a strong academic background, he has made significant contribution in the field of engineering materials, particularly in the development of sustainable natural composite. In his research activities, Professor Januar has led and participated in numerous national and international research projects, ranging from the development of eco-friendly composite material, engineering composite for the automotive industry, to research on biocomposite and sustainable technology. Professor Januar also frequently invited as a keynote speaker, invited lecturer and visiting lecturer at universities and international forums across Asia, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Japan, and also Australia. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my pleasure to invite Professor Januar to share his keynote presentation with us. Good morning, Professor Januar. Are you here, Prof, with us? Hello, Professor. Professor Januar, can you hear my voice,
Yes,
Prof?
Mr. Moderator. Can you
Okay,
hear me?
Yeah, Professor. Good morning, Professor.
Good morning. Good
Good
morning.
morning. Selamat pagi, Professor.
Selamat
Professor
pagi.
Januar, for your
Yes.
presentation, you will have 30 minutes to deliver the topic. And after that,
Okay.
I will proceed to the next keynote speaker. And in the end
Okay.
of the session, so we will have Q&A session, Professor.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, Professor Januar. Your time is
Okay.
yours.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak at the 7th Borobudur International Symposium. My name is Januar Parlaungan Siregar from University Malaysia Pahang Al Sultan Abdullah, Malaysia, and it is an honor to join you online as one of today's keynote speaker. Okay, this morning I will sharing insight on sustainable development of coir fiber based composites, which is part of our ongoing research, especially the current PhD research work conducted by my student. This topic reflects our commitment to advancing sustainable materials, reducing environmental impact, and exploring the potential of natural fibers in next generation composite application. Okay, and this is some points here that we'll be highlighting. Yeah, first in the introduction to natural fiber composite, and then coir fiber, which is properties and characteristics, and then processing and treatment of coir fibers, development of coir fibers composite, mechanical and thermal performance, application and industrial potential, and future trends, research opportunities, and the last is conclusion. Okay. Okay, this one, the first, my slide, which is the introduction to natural fibers composite. As you can see, this one, the pyramid, the pyramid production flow of the composite industry, which is the best layer, this one. And then the second stage, the selection, raw materials, and then continue to manufacturing process. And this one, the last is the products. Okay. In the beginning of the production flow in the composite industry, this one, the foundation of the pyramid represent the overall industry production flow, indicating how the composite materials move from the raw materials to the final products. Okay. The layer emphasize the industrial scale processes involved in composite manufacturing. Okay, this one, the base layer, and then the second one, selection of materials. Okay, in this stage of material, this is the first and most crucial stage in the composite development. Why? It involves choosing appropriate raw materials, for example, the fibers, and then the matrix or the polymers, the fillers, the additives, okay? And then also in this stage, in the raw material selections determines the cost, okay, the cost of the production, and then also the performance of materials, and then the environmental impact of the materials, and the sustainability of the final composite. Okay. In this stage, any wrong choices this stage will directly lead to the critical issues downstream of the production. Okay. And then the third one in the manufacturing. Okay, this one, the manufacturing stage involves of forming the composite using processes such as compression molding, injection molding, thermoforming, transfer molding, or extrusion. This kind of the types fabrication of common composites. Okay. And then manufacturing effects, this one, manufacturing effects like the microstructure, defect formation, mechanical behavior, and quality of the composites. Okay, and then the last one is the products, the final output of the our fabrication model, The top of layer pyramid represent the final product where the composite's performance is evaluated. It reflects application-specific characteristics.
Hello, Professor Januar.
Yeah?
Okay, Professor Januar.
This
Okay.
one we have some critical issues rising. Okay, for example, this one first is the high consumption energy. Sorry.
Yeah, Professor, I think we have
Close.
trouble. Okay.
Okay. So this one from the product manufacturing selection materials, we have some critical issues. Okay, for example, this one high consumption energy, from the fabrication for the production, and then the climate change automatically, the waste, and then the pollution, okay, and then the high health risk. This one.
Hello, Professor Januar. Can you hear my voice, Prof? Hello, Prof. I think we have a technical issue here.
Wait.
Okay, Professor. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Oh, sorry for technical problem. Okay, this one the critical issue, yeah. Climate change, high health risk, carbon footprint, cost of production, pollution control, environmental damage, and recycling cycle. Okay. And then in the next slide, this one, yeah, the current issues in the industry, yeah. First is the sustainable industry, yeah, sustainability, and then environmental resilience, green innovation. Okay, so some industry should be aligned, yeah, should be aligned the production, the fabrication to the sustainable development goals. Okay, to respond to this challenge, industry must align their practices with the United Nations SDG, which is we have this one is 17 points, yeah, by the United Nations. So how to achieve this goal? Okay, so industry need to transform, yeah, for example, the production method, and then resource, raw material usage, and then waste management, and then energy consumption. Okay, this transformation is necessary, yeah, to achieve sustainable and resilience. And then how to practice the SDGs? Okay, to practice SDGs, we have to implement, yeah, of the SDG requirement. For example, one is the adoption of clean technologies, innovation in industry process, and then commitment to ethical, responsible production. Okay, so this one, how we to align, yeah, our production, our practicing, yeah, to the SDGs by United Nations. Okay, and then this one, sorry, can you hear me? Oh, sorry.
Sure, Prof. We can hear your voice.
Okay, okay.
Okay, clearly, Prof.
Okay, sorry. So this one of our effort, yeah, how to create green innovation in composite industry. So this one we have to make a smart selection in terms of our raw materials of composite. As we know, the composite is the combination of two or more materials, yeah, to get the desired properties or better performance. Okay, for example, as you can see, this one composite, yeah, include this one from the matrix and the reinforcement. This one, the two types of material we combine together, yeah, which is the matrix. It means this one polymer or plastic, which is there are many types of plastic. Okay, classification. For example, we have a thermosetting, thermoplastic, and biodegradable polymer. And then for reinforcement, this one I just highlight for the natural fiber. This one for our effort to replace, yeah, to replace alternative replacement for synthetic fiber. Why? Because natural fiber is more safe, more easy to handle, and then low cost, and also many abundance our local resources. Yeah, this one, for example, some natural fiber, jute, flax, kenaf, hemp, sisal, coir, banana fiber, pineapple fiber, and lotus fibers. Okay, for this presentation, I just highlight my current progress. Yeah, this one I use the coir fiber. Okay, this one the process how we get the raw materials of the coir fiber. You can see this one. Yeah, the coconut tree and then fruits, and then this one the green fruit, and then dry fruit, and then this one fruit with shell, and then this one, the coconut outer layer or mesocrab. This is the waste, product, from the coconut. Okay, and then this one, how we get the source of the fibers of coir. This one you can see, this one from the coconut mesocarp, and then we extract the fiber. Okay, and then this one we treated the fiber. Okay, this one into the long fiber, and also this one for the shell or coconut pits. Okay, this one coconut shell. We also we crush the coconut, so we can get this one. We extract, become the filler. Okay, this one. For example, this one the coarse filler, and this one the fine filler. In terms of the size of particle. Okay, and then next, this one the common problem, the common problem of natural fiber, for example, coir fiber, or particle in the composite. Okay, there here, I highlight this one. There are two of common problem. First is in terms of the raw materials of the coir fibers, and then the second one, the common problem in the fabrication of natural fiber in composite. Okay, in the raw material, as we know, natural fiber has some of disadvantages. For example, here, number one, high moisture absorption. This one, all natural fiber is hydrophilic in nature. Hydrophilic in nature, it means this fiber easy absorb moisture or water. Okay, this one we call hydrophilic. And then because of the natural fiber high moisture absorption, it will lead to swelling or poor bonding with polymer and dimensional instability. Okay, and then the second one, the common problem, inconsistent quality. This one, fiber properties vary due to the plant age, climate, soil, and extraction method. Okay, that's why the performance of natural fiber, for example, coir from Malaysia, from Indonesia, it confirm will be different. Okay, because of this characteristic. So causes non-uniform mechanical performance. And then the third one, poor bonding, poor interfacial bonding. Natural fibers have smooth surface and waxy layers, and weak adhesion with polymer matrix unless we can use a treatment or surface modification of the natural fiber. And then the last one, the disadvantage of the natural fiber, which is thermal degradation. So the maximum we process of the natural fibers should be below than 200 degrees Celsius, because above than 200 degrees, the natural fibers will be degrade. Okay. Okay, and then in terms of the fabrication, you can see, this one. For example, void or air bubble, or we call empty gaps. In material science, this one we call defects. Defects in fabrication process, which is incomplete wetting of fibers, or some we call trap air during mixing or layup. And then volatile gases released during curing, and then poor vacuum or pressure during processing. This one, the example of the void or air bubble in finished product. This one, you can see. For these bubbles or voids, this one affects the lower mechanical strength, reduced stiffness, poor fatigue performance, weak fibers, increased water absorption, and early failure during loading. And then the second one, problem in the fabrication of natural fiber, which is agglomeration. Yeah, agglomeration. This one particles sticking together in the cluster, so it means like agglomerate. Yeah, so agglomerate, like you can see the powder. Yeah, we put in the water, so they will clump. Yeah, or agglomerate. So this one because of the high surface energy or poor dispersion. Yeah, poor dispersion, insufficient mixing, or the moisture or contamination. This one, for example, if we identify, see in the microscope, yeah, at the microscope, this one will be affect the weak interfacial bonding, voids and defect, reduced mechanical strength, and non-uniform stress distribution, and lower thermal and wear performance. Okay. And then this one, the next is the potential of coir fiber in the research area of composite. So this one is the parameters, yeah, the focus on the parameters. For example, the parameters of chemical
Hello, Professor Januar.
we call potassium
Okay.
permanganate, and this one, for example, is sodium biocarbonate. Okay. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Sure, Professor. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then in terms of the chemical treatment, there are many parameters we can investigate in terms of the content of solution, and then immersion time, yeah, atau soaking times, and then drying times, also the drying media, for example, this one under the sunlight, in the oven, or we can dry the fibers in room temperature. Okay, and then the second one in terms of the coir fiber. This one, the orientation, orientation fiber in the composite. Okay, we can modify, for example, in terms of directional or unidirectional, for example, also random, yeah, random in the chop strand, chop mat of the fibers, and also the woven. Woven, it means this one waving, yeah. We can wave the fiber. And then in terms the coir particle, yeah, this one in terms of size, in terms of nano, yeah, micrometer, okay, and also this one filler loading, the weight fraction, weight percentage of the filler of the fiber in polymer. For example, 5%, 10%, 20, 30, okay, and then others, for example, we investigate laminate. Yeah, for example, if we use the woven fibers, okay, we can investigate the different layer. For example, 1 layer, 2 layer, 3 layer, or the also sandwich or hybrid, yeah, with other natural fiber. Okay, and this one, the result, yeah, our review article, yeah, this one based on the composite fiber, coir fiber and its composite. This one already published in Messi last year. So this one I will explain, yeah, what my students
Hello, Prof.
2025, we can see from the Scopus, okay, from the Scopus, this one, the total published papers is around 1,200. So it means for each year, almost 120 papers published. Okay, so this one, we can still see the researcher industry still growth interest to study, to investigate on coir fiber. And this one can see the documents, okay, by country. India number 1, Malaysia second, Brazil, and Indonesia, China. This one top 5. Yeah, published paper on coir fiber in 10 years. And then this one, the type of the publication, you can see this one. Most of the paper is the article, okay, or research article, almost 60%. And then for the conference proceeding, 25%. And then book chapter, 6.9, review, and so on. Okay. And then this one, coir fiber, yeah. The field of the investigation, more the material science, yeah, 32%, and then engineering, 26%, and then physics, chemistry, chemical engineering, environmental science, and so on. This one, the document by subject area. Okay, this one based on the coir production, we can see, yeah, this one, India is the highest, yeah, product of coir fiber. Okay, you can see almost 600,000 tons, yeah, and then followed by Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Ghana, and others. But this one, as can see the chart or the diagram for Indonesia, coir fiber in Indonesia. Can see this one, the facts about coir fiber in Indonesia. First, Indonesia has over 3.5 million hectares of coconut plantation. The country ranks among the world top 3 coconut producer. Coconut husk is now a valuable raw material for coir-based products. High volume, consistent husk supply support, and large-scale coir production. Okay, and this one, the chemical treatment or surface modification of natural fiber. Yeah, for example, this one, coir fibers in the 10 years. You can see this one, many types of chemical treatment, and mostly, most of the researchers use sodium hydroxide. Okay, NaOH. This one, the content, yeah, the solution, yeah, different, and also the immersion time, yeah, so different. Drying times, and then this one, drying media. So this one, our review, yeah, based on the chemical treatment of coir fiber. We can see this one, the authors or our reference, yeah, number, investigate the chemical treatment. And then this one, you can see before and after treatment. Okay, the surface under the microscope. This one, the single fiber of coir. This one, we have the impurities. Also, they have gum, and then also smooth structure and waxy substances. For this part, we can reduce the interfacial bonding between fiber and the polymer. That's why we need to treat it, the fiber, before we mix with the polymer. And then this one is the
My
final or
apologize,
after.
Professor Januar. We will have
Yes.
we'll have 5 minutes left for the presentation.
Okay, this one, the clear surface. Okay, this one for the alkaline treatment. And then this one, the physical and mechanical properties. Okay, this one, type of natural fiber. This one, the physical density, and then the elongation, young modulus, tensile strength. Okay, and then this one, the characteristic of fiber. Okay, from this one, we can selection of matrix, and then we need to surface the treatment, selection of fabrication type, and then do we need to the hybrid composite, and then we have to choose the suitable application for our composite. And then next, this one same, yeah, mechanical properties, but this one only focus on the coir fiber. You can see in the reference, this one different, and then the tensile strength of coil is so different, yeah, because of the age, because of the climate, yeah, because of the source. This one effect on the mechanical properties. And this one, the past 10 years, yeah, natural fiber already used or for the polymer, which is this one for thermosetting, yeah, epoxy, almost 67%, polyester 28%, phenolic 4%, and vulcanized rubber 1%. Okay, epoxy is the popular resin in composite. And this one, the result, yeah, from previous studies, you can see this one in terms of the tensile strength and then impact strength. And then this one, the characteristics of epoxy, high cost, excellent adhesion, very high durability, low shrink, yeah, and superior moisture resistance. Okay, this one in the type of thermosetting, polymer, polyester. Okay, this one we reviewed also, yeah, in the 10 years. This one characteristic of polyester, uninvasive, good mechanical bond, moderate durability, high shrink, cured by catalyst, and good moisture resistance. And this one in the thermoplastic, yeah, already used coil fiber for polypropylene, polystyrene, polyethylene, yeah, polyurethane. This one the characteristic of the thermoplastic: fast injection molding, recyclability, toughness, thermoresistant, and fiber impregnation. And this one for the use with the biodegradable polymer. Yeah, this one the characteristic of the polymer: renewable resource, recyclable, more eco-friendly, and compatible with multiple manufacturing method. And this one some of the working or method fabricate of the composite. You can see this one compression, this one compression, molding, and then this one by hand line art, and this one by vacuum bagging. And this one some application of fiber composite, for example, for particle board, vehicle part, packaging, and biomedical. Okay. And this one, my current research, using of the coil fiber for the brake pad, for automotive part. This one, the brake pad. Previous use the asbestos and metal because this one is very dangerous and not safe, toxic. So we replace using the eco-friendly material, which is natural fiber and natural fiber from the coil fiber, and then mixing with the waste of this one is charcoal, charcoal of cocoa shell, and then we mix with the polymer, and then we use other friction materials. This one rice husk, and then rice husk S. Why? Because this one has highest of the silica content. Okay, this one suitable for friction materials. Okay, this one why coil fiber eco-friendly brake pad composite could contribute to create sustainable. Okay, this one the part from the coconut tree, mapping to the SDG, and then in terms of extraction process, and then the fabrication process should be aligned to the SDGs. This one, and then in terms of the application for brake pad, this one should be aligned with this point of SDG, for example, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, so this one, my closing remarks. Let us embrace coil fiber not just as a material, but as a movement towards sustainability, responsibility, and smarter materials for a greener future. We need innovation, collaboration, and action from researchers, industries, and communities alike. Together, we can elevate coil fiber composite from an alternative option to a global solution, creating products that are not only strong and reliable, but also environmentally meaningful. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Januar, for the very insightful and also inspiring presentation, Prof. Professor
Thank you.
Januar, thank you very much again for the presentation explained and delivered by Professor Januar on the sustainable development of coir fiber-based composite. Professor Januar highlight the importance of coir fiber in creating actually the eco-friendly and sustainable material. And also, Professor Januar explained us how to create a green innovation in composite industry. So the tips is it is depend on the smart selection of raw material of composite itself. So ladies and gentlemen, also Professor Januar emphasized on the common problem of coir fiber particle in composite, started from the issue on high moisture absorption and also inconsistent quality until the thermal degradation, which is low thermal stability. It is under or below 200 Celsius degree, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you very much, Professor Januar. Professor, please stay
Thank
here with
you, Mr.
us.
Moderator.
Okay, Professor, please stay here with us, Prof, because I will go to the next keynote speaker, but we will have the Q&A session later, Prof. Okay, in the end of the presentation. Okay, thank
Okay.
you. Again, thank you, Professor Januar, for delivering such an insightful and also inspiring presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, and now we move on to the next, our keynote speakers, Professor Hijaz Ahmad from Near East University, Turkey. Professor Hijaz expertise on computational and applied mathematics, modeling and simulations, biomathematics. Professor Hijaz Ahmad is working at the Near East University as an assistant professor of mathematics. He completed his Master of Science in Computational Mathematics for Department of Mathematics, Komsat University, Islamabad, Wah Campus. And in 2022, Professor Hijaz completed his PhD in computational and applied mathematics for the Department of Basic Science and Islamiyat, University of Engineering and Technology, Peshawar, Pakistan. And then he started his postdoctoral from Lebanese American University, Beirut, Lebanon. His research work is focused on the development and advancement of numerical technique for finding the numerical solutions of mathematical models in the form of partial differential equation and fractional partial differential equation arising in finance, computational biology, and different discipline of engineering. The scope of his research is quite broad, covering numerical analysis, fractional calculus, mathematical biology, and mathematical physics. Oh, Professor Hijaz also is included in the world top 2% scientists on 2022, also in 2023 by Stanford University and Elsevier. Ladies and gentlemen, now let us welcome Professor Hijaz Ahmad as he began his keynote presentations. Professor Hijaz, good morning, Professor. Can you hear my voice, Prof?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning from Indonesia, Professor Hijaz. Professor, you will have 30 minutes, Prof, to deliver your presentation. And after that, I will give the summary and then we will continue to the Q&A session, Professor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor. Time is yours.
Allow me to begin my expressing my sincere appreciation to Muhammadiyah University of Magellan and the organizing committee of the symposium for creating this remarkable platform that brings together researchers, scientists, and innovators from different disciplines The speeches earlier, especially the Honorable Rector welcoming remarks, have reminded us of the growing importance of collaboration, innovation, and scientific responsibility in addressing today's engineering and environmental challenges. A symposium like this plays a crucial role in it because it connects ideas across engineering, sciences, technology, and environment. Also, it encourages interdisciplinary thinking, and it gave us opportunity to share methods that can generally improve real-world systems. I am truly honored to contribute to this year's symposium as a keynote speaker. Today, I will discuss a topic that lies at the core of many engineering and environmental models we rely on, different solutions of differential equations. These differential equations or partial differential equations underpin groundwater flow, pollutant transport, heat diffusion, structural dynamics, and countless other processes that shape our environment and infrastructure. Yet, as many of us know, traditional numerical methods can be computationally demanding, especially for nonlinear systems. But in this lecture, efficient variation reduction method for engineering and environmental PDE models, I will explore how variation notation method offer a powerful, flexible, and computationally efficient alternative for solving these complex models. My hope is that after this session, you will see how variation notation method can complement or in some cases outperform traditional approaches, enabling faster modeling and more accurate prediction. Thank you once again for the symposium organizers, sponsor, and all participants. Let us begin our exploration.
Hello, Professor. Do you need our help to share the screen?
Is it visible to you? Are you sure?
Okay, Prof. Okay. Please, for the committee, can you help us to share the screen?
Okay, I can share it.
You can share also, Prof. Okay. Okay, this one, Professor, he just.
Yes, I have shared already. Is it?
But we cannot see your screen, Prof. Okay. Okay, Professor Hijas, we can see now the screen. Okay. Okay, thank you, Professor.
Okay, many sustainable engineering and environmental systems are governed by mathematical models that lead to ordinary differential equations, partial differential equations, and also fractional differential equations. But these differential equations play a crucial role in modeling and optimizing complex real-world systems, including environmental processes, energy and thermal systems, biological and chemical processes. But we have many challenges in solving these types of the differential equations numerically or analytically, but we need to have numerical solutions. But here we have many challenges like exact solution of nonlinear PDEs are not always possible or time consuming. Also, construction of efficient and accurate numerical method to solve nonlinear PDEs is a great challenge. Analytical solutions of nonlinear time fractional PDEs are rarely available, and construction of efficient and accurate numerical methods to solve fractional partial differential equations is also a challenge. So here we have many numerical techniques or analytical techniques in the literature. We choose some of them like homotopy perturbation method, Adamian decomposition method, finite difference method, RBF meshless methods, variation notation method. But we have many inbuilt insufficiencies, including divergent results, mesh generation, spatial dependence, stability, slow rate of convergence, very lengthy calculations, non-compatibility with the nonlinear or physical problem in many of these techniques, which are already available in the literature. But here we choose a variation notation method This method was introduced by a Chinese mathematician, Professor Jihan He, in 1999. And then he developed it again in 2010. Because much attention was paid to the application of this method for various problems due to its simplicity, then to overcome the shortcoming of some unnecessary repeated calculation in the iterative steps, then the originator himself suggested a new modification in it in 2010. We have wider applications of these techniques because it reduces the size of computation and it is a powerful tool for various kinds of linear and nonlinear problems arising in applied sciences engineering. The solution procedure is very simple for these techniques. Results are also acceptable and can be applied to a wide class of nonlinear problems without discretization of the domain, linearization of the differential equations, calculation of predominant polynomials, transformation, shape parameters, or small perturbations. So here, we modified the variation notation algorithm 1, and we named it modified variation notation algorithm 1. We use it for different models of PDEs and ODEs. In this modification, a new improvement of the variation notation algorithm 1, known as modified variation notation algorithm 1, is presented. An auxiliary parameter which guarantees a faster convergence rate is presented in the correlational function of the variation notation algorithm 1. A criterion of how to suitably choose number of iteration is given because in variation, in mostly iterative methods, it is a challenging where we have to stop the results in which iteration. So here we have given a criteria. The process of how to optimally identify the auxiliary parameter is illustrated through examples. The proposed algorithm does not require transformation, discretization, or assumption of the numerically approximate solution, which is also a strong motivation for this technique. Let us discuss the method for the description of the method. We consider a general differential equations. One, here L is a linear operator, N is a nonlinear operator, and C is a source term, or we can call it homogeneous term. For an appropriate given initial condition, series solution of the equation 1 can be obtained using the correction function. This is the method where an equation will be given. We have to solve a model. For this, for the models, we have to use the correction function, equation 2, which is given in the equation 2. Here, in the equation 2, we have a variable, a scalar parameter known as the Lagrange multiplier, which is denoted by lambda, whose value is obtained by taking the variation on both sides of the equation 2 with respect to the variable un. Here, the Lagrange multiplier can be obtained using the formula, but for the first order differential equation, when I equal to 1, we have lambda equal to -1, and when for the second order, we have lambda equal to theta minus x. So after getting the value of lambda, we put it in the correction function and we get an iterative form as given in the equation here. So the iterative sequence can be obtained starting from a proper initial approximation and using the iterative formula 4. In summary, the whole procedure for solving equation 1 can be obtained, can be written in a form as here. This is a U0. U0 is initial condition, or we can say it is appropriate initial approximation. Here, U0 again, here it is the initial condition, and this is the correction function of the variation notation algorithm 1. Here, this is lambda. Lambda is a Lagrange multiplier, and we can obtain the value by the formula which we have discussed in the previous slide. Then, what was the central idea? Here we put an auxiliary parameter H. This auxiliary parameter speed up the convergence and the convergence rate. So this is the central idea in this modification. We have used the various auxiliary parameter H. Then we use the same technique for different models like diffusion equation, convection diffusion equation, different higher order differential equations, SK, CDG, KK, Lex equation like this. So just to check the accuracy and reliability of the method, we can use, and also we have studied and compared the results with different other techniques available in the literature. So you can see here atomic decomposition method, modified atomic decomposition, Laplace decomposition techniques, second kind, Chebyshev-Wallet procedure, differential quadrature methods, and many others. So let's come to the test problems. We have chosen linear diffusion. First, we choose the linear diffusion equation. We consider the inhomogeneous linear diffusion equation with initial and boundary conditions. And the exact solution was already given in the literature. Just for checking the accuracy, we have chosen these equations and the exact solution was available. So we compare the results with the exact solution as well, and numerical solution with the other techniques available in the literature. For this purpose, for the inhomogeneous linear diffusion equation, how to fit it in the various generation algorithm. So here, this is the correction functions. And so in the correction function, we have to put the equation here. This is the equation, linear part and nonlinear part from the inhomogeneous equation, partial u by partial t, partial square u by partial x square plus cos x. So here we have put it in the correction function. Then after putting it in the correction function, we have to choose the Lagrange multiplier. So here the Lagrange multiplier is lambda. Lambda is putting in the formula for getting the Lagrange multiplier. So here for the first order, we have lambda equal to -1. So here putting -1 here, so it plus becomes minus. So here we have used the auxiliary parameter H. To get more accurate solution to the considered system, a more precise value of H is required. For this purpose, the following residual function is defined. Then the error of num2 of the residual function corresponding to 12, equation 12, in 10 iteration with H is given by the following. So after getting values of the H, putting it in the here, this equation, we have. So here we have an auxiliary parameter H was used in variation of parameters methods, which was discussed by Wasim Sikandar, Professor Wasim Sikandar in 2018, where valid region of H was obtained with the help of H curve graph, which corresponds to the line segment nearly parallel to horizontal axis. Here, in that methods, they said that the H can be obtained where this H graph is parallel to the x-axis. So here, in our case, we use the Maple software to get precise value for approximate solution. And here we have H equal to 0.635. So after putting the value of H, so here in this case, we have the H equal to 0.635, and the absolute error is 10 raised to power minus 4, and here the absolute error is 1. So it means that after using the auxiliary parameter, the convergence rate is much better than the standard various notation method. Then we use the same techniques for linear diffusion equation again. So here we have used different values of x and t, and also we have compared the results with the exact solutions and also with the compact finite difference scheme. So here you can see here the absolute errors of the modified variation notation algorithm 1 and compact finite difference of the sixth order. So the results of the suggested techniques is much better than the previous one. Then we choose test problem 2 for the linear diffusion equation again. So here we choose homogeneous linear diffusion equation as given in 14 with initial and boundary conditions as given in 15, and exact solution was also given in the literature. Then we compared the results with the, again, compact finite difference methods and the modified variation notation method. And also in the next table, you can see here, finite difference method, Chebyshev wavelets techniques, and compact finite difference techniques, and also Lagrange multiplier method. So we have compared the results with different techniques just to check the accuracy of the suggested modification. Then after this, we have used the suggested techniques for the convection diffusion models. We consider the convection diffusion equation as equation 17 with initial and boundary condition 18, and exact solution was given also. We use the we take the parameters values from the already studied in the literature just for the comparison purposes with the Chebyshev wavelet techniques, and we have compared the results with the exact solution also with the Chebyshev wavelet techniques. Then we were trying to check whether our suggested techniques is applicable in higher order differential equations or not. So we choose the SK equation, which is given in the equation 20, and initial and boundary conditions are also given here. Then we compared the results with the Adamian decomposition methods and also modified Adamian decomposition methods. So the accuracy of the Adamian and modified Adamian decomposition method is also good, but our methods results are much better as compared to them. Then you can check the much more studied examples and the elaboration of the techniques, also convergence analysis. We have published these works under the title New Approach on Conventional Solution to Non-Linear Partial Differential Equation Describing Physical Phenomena. And also for the convection diffusion equations, it has been published in Analytic Approximate Solution of Diffusion Equation arising in IL pollution. And also for the higher differential equations, Fornberg Witham and modified Fornberg Witham Madol equations, it has been published under the title Approximate Numerical Solution for the non-linear dispersive shallow water waves as the Fornberg Witham model equations. And also you can check the other published article, an efficient approach for the numerical solution of fifth order KdV equation. So this was all for the first order differential equation. First algorithm 1. Then we have algorithm 2 for partial differential equations. So here in this case, we consider a differential equations where L is a linear operator, N is a non-linear operator, and C is the non-homogeneous source term. Then we have the correction function as equation 25. After getting the value of lambda, putting it in the correction function 25, we have iterative form as 26. Then it was suggested that a more precise and a summarizing formula can be obtained when we have here, we use un plus 1 equal to un, but if we fix it as a u0 means initial condition, initial approximation, then there will be no repetition in the iteration. So they call it algorithm variation notation algorithm 2, and we have put it an auxiliary parameter here as well in this techniques, and you can see the effect of the auxiliary parameter in the results. So these techniques, modified variation notation algorithm 2, was also used for different non-linear partial differential equations like AC equation, NW equation, facial equation, and many other types. And also we have compared the results with the other techniques. So here we have a test problem like AC equation of the equation 30. Initial conditions and boundary conditions are given. Here we have compared the results with the trigonometric B-spline collocation technique for different values of t and also x. You can see here MVI2, modified variation notation algorithm 2, and this is the trigonometric B-spline collocation technique. So the results you can see from the tables. Also, we have used the same technique for the NW equation 34, where initial and boundary conditions are given in 35, 36, 37, and also the exact solution. So here, the results are compared with the homotopy perturbation technique as well. And you can see here for different values of x and t, the modified variation notation algorithm 2 results in the form of the absolute errors are better than the previous ones. Then we have used it for the KDV equations. Here you can see equation 40, 39, and initial and boundary conditions are also given. So we have used the same techniques for the this type of models as well. And you can check here the results are also good. We have compared the results with the inverse quadratic, Gaussian, and multi-quadratic radial basis functions. And in the form of the absolute errors, you can see the results from the table 9.
My apologize, Professor Hijas. We have 5 minutes left, Prof, for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. So here you can see the method has been used for the AC and NW equations, and you can check from the published papers analytic approximate solution for some non-linear parabolic dynamical wave equations, and also numerical solution of the KTV equations by the modified variation notation algorithm 2 arising in shallow water waves. And also you can check from the study a numerical solution of dispersive water wave phenomena by using a reliable modification of variation iteration algorithm. So then this was for impartial differential equations, but we can also use the same for the fractional order differential equations, fractional order partial differential equations, and we have used it for the again nonlinear fractional order Cauchy reaction diffusion and found one with the model equations. And you can see from the published article, a new analyzing technique for non-linear time fractional Cauchy reaction diffusion model equations. So here we have used it for the time fractional differential partial differential equations, and it can be used for the special fractional Cauchy reaction diffusion or any other type partial differential equation or fractional partial differential equation as well. So here, what we can do here further, the proposed algorithms can be simply prolonged to fractional differential equations, taking into account that the fractal variational theory can be utilized to find the Lagrange multiplier. Also, some more definition of the fractional derivative can be applied to fractional PDEs for the comparison between the operators, as we have used already Caputo. So we can use the other fractional derivative as well. Here we have only time fractional PDEs are considered. This could be extended to space fractional as well as time and space fractional PDEs. The suggested algorithms can be used for real-world systems, including environmental processes and infection disease models, where fractional PDEs are naturally arise. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Hijas, for the very insightful and also for the comprehensive explanation and presentations. Professor Hijas, actually your perspective truly enrich our understanding and spark deeper reflection among all the participants. Professor Hijas, before I jump to the Q&A session, allow me please to summary the presentation before. Professor Hijas' presentation focused on the application of variational iteration method for solving the complex differential equation, particularly partial differential equation in engineering and also in the environmental context. Thank you very much, Professor Hijas Ahmad, for the very brief and also clear explanations. I would like to invite also Professor Januar. Hello, Professor. Hello, Professor Januar. Are you here with us, Prof?
Yes, yes.
Okay. To all participants, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to jump to the Q&A sessions. So for the participant, if you have any question, please feel free to use raise hand features in this platform from the Zoom platform, or you may also type them into the chat box. Okay, and for those participants who are joining us also through YouTube, you may also send your question through the comment sections. While we already started actually the discussion here, Professor Hijas already respond some question, but allow me please, Professor Januar, allow me please also, but Prof to mention one of the question. It is from, I think it is Ibu Yuli Patmawati. Assalamualaikum. My name is Yuli from Politeknik Negeri Samarinda. My question goes to Professor Januar on how does the quality of coir fiber composite that you produce compare to the composites that are widely sold in the market. This question also emphasized by Bapak Andri Kurniawan. Sir Andri also emphasized, however, for now, I tend to believe that the quality of coir fiber might not be as good as the existing one. But for the long run, the quality of coir fiber will improve as the time goes by. And since the coir fiber is made of natural material from the by the production, okay, it should be more environmentally friendly. Okay, Professor Januar, you are pleased to respond to the question. Time is yours.
Okay, thank you for the questions. Yeah, actually, you didn't mention what type of the composite in the market now, which is the composite made by glass fiber, also or using the natural fiber. So I can answer your question. How I can compare my coir fiber composite and the existing one? Which one the existing one in the market? Which is the for example in synthetic should be yes my composite is lower than the carbon fiber or glass fiber composite. But my advantages of my composite is maybe low low density. It means lightweight compared to the epoxy and glass fiber. So it depends also what the application we want to achieve. For example, in my application, yeah, in engineering material, we should know to pick the application, and then we have to determine, yeah, the required properties, yeah, for the application. For example, my application is what the brake friction. So brake friction it should be good in friction, and then also is less moisture absorption, yeah, and then also lightweight. This one, that's why I choose my coir fiber to this application. Okay, maybe.
Okay, that's all,
Yeah.
Professor. Thank you very
Yes.
much, Professor Janua. So it by means if we would like to compare to the market product, we have to know what kind of the type of the composite itself, isn't it, Prof?
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
thank you, Professor, for the very brief and clear explanation. Professor Januar, now I will goes to Professor Hijas. Professor, here we have the question from uh, Ilham, Pak Ilham from Islamic University of Indonesia. I would like to ask Professor Hijas question regarding the presentation that just been delivered. What are the main challenges faced when solving nonlinear partial differential equation in engineering and environmental context? And also, what are some concrete application of the variational iteration method in solving engineering and environmental problem? And how can this method contribute to sustainable technology development? Wow, there are three actually, Prof. Question from Bapak Ilham, Sir Ilham. Okay, Professor Hijas, time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the question as well. Uh, we have uh, we have many challenges in solving nonlinear PDAs, as in some cases strong nonlinearity, like nonlinear terms make equation difficult to linearize and solve analytically. So we need to have some numerical techniques, and also engineering and environmental system operate across wide spatial temporal scales, require high resolution as well. Also, so for the engineering and environmental issues, we have various notation methods. We can solve it numerically, but because in many cases we can't use analytical solutions, and exact solution is also not possible. So in this case, we have many challenges, and numerically, in the variation notation method is very simple, and you can, as we have discussed in the session. So they can also the one who has raised the question can goes to the published papers as we have discussed here. Also, application of in the next question, the next part of the question was application of the variation notation method. So it can be used in many cases like fluid and heat transfer, structural mechanics, groundwater and soil moisture, pollutant transport, renewable energy like solar collectors, wind turbine, green belting thermal models. So we can use it for different models very easily. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Hijas, for the response. For another participant, if you still have any other question, maybe you can just type or send us to the committee. So later we will help you to deliver the question to the presenters. Okay, Professor Januar, also Professor Hijas, thank you very much for all your kind presentation, clear explanation, and very comprehensive discussion today. So we are very satisfied and glad to see you here. And thank you for your availability, Professor, for joining us in the 7th Borobudur International Symposium, which conjunction to Interconnect 2025. Thank you very much, Professor Januar, also Professor Hijas.
Thank
Thank you.
you,
Thank
Pak
you very
Thank
much.
Radi.
you. Greeting from the committee and
Thank
all
you.
the UNIMA member. See you again, Prof. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude and finish our Q&A sessions, now allow me to extend my deepest appreciation to all participants for your thoughtful question and also your active participations. Also, on behalf of the committee members and Universitas Muhammadiyah Magelang, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to our keynote speaker for sharing their expertise, insight, and also inspiration to us. Now, we have arrived at the end of the science and technology sessions of the 7th Borobudur International Symposium held in conjunction with the 3rd Interconnect 2025. Last but not least, to all participants, kindly remain stay at the main room of the Zoom meeting. There will be a closing sessions for morning conference led by the Master of Ceremony. Thank you for all participants and also for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much to Mr. Hari Abdul Hakim SHLM for guiding this session. We truly appreciate your guidance. I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all the speakers for their insightful presentations. We have gained valuable knowledge from today's symposium. Our sincere appreciation also goes to Ms. Dwi Susanti SICOM MA and Mr. Hari Abdul Hakim SHLLM for leading the keynote session with such clarity and dedication. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the technical clinic session. This session will provide important information and instructions for all presenters regarding the technical procedures. We kindly invite the committee representative to lead this session. To Associate Professor Agus Setiawan M.Ing, the time is yours.
Okay, thank you. Now we will move to the technical clinic about the 7th Borobudur International Symposium in conjunction Interconnects. And I will share about the technical information after this conference and maybe about the important information before. Okay, my screen is shown, the screen. Okay, we have a timeline that the participant have passed until this day. So you have submit your abstract submission, and then you have made a video presentation, and you will do a Q&A forum after this. And now we have a conference day. And after that, in the 23rd of December, you will have due date for full paper submission. And for 6th January 2026, you have due date for deadline for full paper review. And then 20th January, you will have deadline for revised full paper submission. And the 30th January, you will have a notification about your paper selection to the proceeding or the journals. And we hope that full paper publication will be published on 30 March. And maybe I will give you all about information about online Q&A forum that you can read on the program book on the website and the config that the discussion will be held though an online Q&A forum for 3 hours. We will start at 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. And the list of videos can be sorted by the track. I will demonstrate for the our new system. You can log in with your account and you can go to the presentation. From this feature or conference management system, you can choose the track that appropriate in your expertise, but not limited to one field. You can choose 2 or more specific expertise. Okay, and then you can choose the title that you interest. Maybe we will choose this, and then you can start the discussion. For the example, you have this is for the example, Dr. Fajar Junaidi have asked to Mr. Hendriana, and Mr. Hendriana can reply to Mr. Fajar, Bapak Fajar, directly in this discussion feature. And then, and I'm sure that this is not difficult for you to doing a Q&A forum online. Okay, I will back to the presentation. Okay, Q&A forum. It's all the information about Q&A forum, and you can ask or provide feedback to 3 until 5 other presenters. And we are formally had this Q&A forum for 3 hours, but we will open this Q&A forum until 3 days after this. Okay, and then for full paper submission, we have a deadline in the 23rd, 2025. Please only submit document in DOCX format. For the other format, we will the system will decline the submission. Okay, maybe I will demonstrate a little. Okay, you can choose the My Submission menu, and then you can click the title. You can go to the paper section. Now you can submit full paper. This only DOCX, and the size may be no below 2 megabytes. So please make sure that if you have more this size, you can give us a link that you can type in the document, so we can access your link maybe from the Google Drive or something like that, that the size more than 2 megabytes. Okay, and if you have submit this paper, the next step is we will give you a review section, and we will provide the best review from the appropriate reviewer that match to your expertise, so that it will give you deep information or input that you can make your paper better. So if you've uploaded the paper, you can see the status in review, and if you get the email notification from Confucius or your paper review is reviewed, and you should revise the paper, you will get email notification from the Confucius about your detailed revisions, and you can check the Confucius to see and revise your paper. And then for the deadline for revised full paper submission, will our timeline has to 20th January 2026, and you can see that this version, this is you can check your version, maybe about version 1. This is my latest version, but if you've upload the second, maybe we will change to version 2, will be the latest file. Okay, and then for the selecting paper, Scopus Proceeding, and journal that collaborate with us will be announced at 30 January 2026. We will inform you via email, and you should confirm that you agree or disagree, and we will not process if you didn't confirm about this action. So please make sure that you always check your email for the next step. Okay, and we are from the committee wishing to publish your article. Maybe for the last date is 31st March 2026. And for unselected paper, we will publish them in our proceedings. We have 6 international proceedings that you can check from our website. And then the additional information, please verify that your name on Confucius is correct, because it will be used for the presenter certificate. And maybe I will demonstrate for the attendee or the presenter if you have no information about to get this certificate. Okay, you can go to the submission and then click the title, and you can see that this is your name. If there is a missing name or typo, you can ask to the representative WhatsApp official page, and you can rename this. And before that, we need to revoke your abstract to revise your name. Okay, and for the attendee for this event, you can go to the program to get the certificate for the participant. You can go to the program, and then you should click the check-in, self-check-in, and then you can go to the overview, attendance registration, main event pass. Now, for the certificate participant, we will process your certificate. Maximum is tomorrow, and we will need to verify and validate about your participation in this 7th Borobudur International Symposium before we issue the certificate. Okay. For the other information, the best presenter will be announced on our website, so maybe you can check regularly in the BIS website and Interconnect website. And for all the authors that have a problem, you can contact WhatsApp number that we have typed in here, 628-571-392-5722. Okay, and you can ask for this official number, our official number, and maybe please be patient because this is a lot of question maybe from the presenter or author, so maybe we need time to respond your question. Okay, before I finish this presentation, maybe from the participant or author or the other have a question, you can raise hand. Okay, there is a question for from Dinloza. Do we also have this option for indexing in Scopus? For selected paper for published in Scopus indexed publisher, automatically it will be indexed in Scopus. But for the unselected paper, we will automatically publish in Borobudur International Symposium proceeding or BIS proceeding. Okay, maybe any other question? Okay, if there is no question for this time, maybe it's enough for me to give you maybe a lot of information, and hopefully full paper and review will be announced soon, so you can revise your paper soon too. And so it's enough for me. Thank you for your attention, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Associate Professor Agus Setiawan M. Eng. Ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the close of the 7th Borobudur International Symposium in third conjunction with Interconnect 2025, we would like to extend our deepest appreciation to all keynote speakers, the moderator, presenters, and participants for your invaluable time, insights, and contributions throughout today's program. Your presence has truly enriched this symposium, and we hope that the discussions and knowledge shared today will continue to inspire further collaboration, innovation, and meaningful impact. Before we conclude, please kindly note the following important announcements regarding the post-symposium process. First, all participants and presenter certificates will be processed and can be downloaded in ConfiChair. Please expect to receive them within a maximum of 3 times 24 hours from today. Second, the final deadline for the submission of full papers is December 23, 2025. We strongly encourage all presenters to adhere to this deadline to ensure inclusion in the symposium proceeding. Third, the winners for the Best Presenter Award will be officially announced on the symposium website bis.unima.ac.id. Please stay updated by checking the website for the announcement. I, Mahatma Asintia, as the Master of Ceremony, sincerely apologize for any shortcomings in my words or conduct during the event. Thank you very much for your attention and participation. We look forward to seeing you again at future events. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.